Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Clerk, please conduct the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I've asked the Father Benedict to come in this evening to conduct the prayer. He's the police and fire chaplain. Father Benedict, please.
Almighty and ever-living God, bless this city council meeting and all those gathered here tonight. Give to this gathering the joy of working in harmony and peace. May the decisions of this council reflect genuine concern for the well-being of all the people of Linden, especially the weaker citizens of our neighborhoods. Give us wisdom and justice when enacting ordinances and courage in times of stress. May we experience hope in all of our endeavors and take joy in your protection always. Amen.
In event of an emergency, the proper method for exiting the council chambers is through the 3 rear doors in the rear of the room. Occupants should proceed down the staircase, out the front of the door, and move away from the area of the front steps. I'd like to remind everybody, any member of the public wishing to speak during the public session at the end of the meeting, please sign in on the sheets provided in front of the room. Please turn off all cell phones or place them on vibrate. If you must take a call, please leave the council chambers to do so. Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Colbus.
He's excused.
Koziel. Here. Brown.
Here.
Armstead. Here. Cosby Hurling.
Here.
Sadowski.
Here.
Sheehy.
Here.
Yemakaitis.
Here.
Frazier.
Here.
Purcell. Here. Mr. Moore.
Here. I'd like move the minutes from March 15th. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Purcell.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Tonight we have a couple presentations. I'd like to ask Mr. Purcell and Mr. Gabunka to make the presentation.
We have a resolution here honoring Brian Fritchie for his American Legion Jersey Boys State honors and hard work throughout the year. He's been recognized by the American Legion Jersey Boys State, and one thing I'm very proud of is that Brian Fritchie, his mom works for the city of Linden, and he's received other honors in the past. And it's just always a pleasure to recognize Linden youth when they make such dramatic achievements such as Brian has done. And with that said, we want to pass a resolution honoring him and his accomplishments. And Councilman Michelle will please have the resolution.
Thank you, Mayor. The resolution honoring the accomplishments of Brian Fritchie. Whereas the American Legion has, since 1946, annually conducted the American Legion Jersey Boys State ALJBS, which is a mythical 51st state organized and administered for citizenship training purposes. Whereas Brian Fritchie, a lifelong resident, a Linden resident who is currently a senior at Seton Hall Preparatory School and a member of the National Honor Society, has been sponsored by Linden American Legion Post 201 to participate in a week-long American Legion Jersey Boys State. And whereas this year's ALJBS is held from June 19, 2011 to June 24, 2011, and Brian Ferrucci participation was marked by his outstanding character and leadership abilities. Whereas Brian Ferrucci abilities were recognized by his peers when they selected him to be councilman and then assemblyman. And whereas Brian Ferrucci further distinguished himself by being elected as Assembly President and Pro Tem. And whereas the Mayor and Council of the City of Linden wish to recognize the outstanding accomplishments of Brian Ferrucci in meeting the goals of the ALJBS, to understand the privileges and responsibilities of citizenship and the sacrifices made by our veterans to preserve our nation and way of life. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the City of Linden that they hereby recognize and congratulate Brian Ferrucci for his outstanding accomplishments during the American Legion's Jersey Boys State Conference. And be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of the City Council and that a copy be appropriately presented to Brian Ferrucci. Up here, it's not the word this time, Brian. So I can see him in a few years sitting up here. So congratulations.
Somebody take one with Mom. See if they
Yeah, come on.
Doreen, come up here.
Somebody, come on, get somebody to take a picture.
Yeah, where's Granddad? He better be.
And Graham Papa was the sixth floor councilman for many years. He wasn't on TV.
Get closer.
I was looking at him. What are you doing?
Mayor, Mr. Mayor, we stay on the floor for the next presentation. We have another presentation with Councilwoman Roshana Cosby Hurley and the mayor.
Good evening, everyone.
That's over.
I don't think so.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to ask that Cynthia Strickland please come forward. This is a resolution that we're going to give to Ms. Strickland because she is an active citizen in Linden. She runs a nonprofit. Some of you all may remember that she was recently honored by the Senator Scutari for her efforts, and this was in March, and she was a woman of distinction, and we're going to honor her tonight because she is running See and Learn. She's worked with us in the past at School 4 and other places around the city last year at the Back to School event. This year, she's planning, with the help of the community, a walkathon. See and Learn promotes literacy. They give donations of literacy items to children, and they're promoting that all the children get away from the computers, get into the library, get a book. So tonight we're gonna, the mayor's gonna read a resolution honoring Ms. Strickland for all her efforts, and I hope that you guys will save the date, October 22nd. There's gonna be a walkathon and more information is going to follow, but we do wanna recognize her for her efforts in promoting literacy.
I have the honor of reading this resolution, which I'd like to do now. Whereas literacy has a critical impact on many of our social problems facing us today, such as crime, economic productivity, and child's performance in school. And whereas it has been proven that by increasingly literacy levels, healthcare costs are reduced, civic participation increases, and the workforce productivity increases. And whereas See and Learn, a not-for-profit literacy awareness foundation founded by Cynthia Strickland to help eradicate financial and education illiteracy one child at a time by promoting partnership to assist with literacy, financial education, self-awareness, job preparation, business etiquette, and mentoring. And whereas Cynthia Strickland is a Linden resident and wishes to assist the youth of Linden by helping to promote literacy awareness by conducting a walkathon on October 22nd, 2011, whereas one of the goals of the walkathon is to promote reading by signing every child participating up for a library card, and whereas the funds raised through pledges will go to support the foundation's continuing efforts to promote literacy in public schools and throughout the community. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Linden do wholeheartedly endorse and support the efforts of See and Learn to promote literacy awareness and urge citizens to participate in the walkathon to be held on October 22nd, 2011. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of the City Council of the City of Linden, and a copy be presented to Cynthia Strickland in recognition of her efforts. Signed, Council President James Moore, Mayor Rich Gerbanka. Congratulations and thank you, Cynthia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Derek's got a resolution. All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have the Armstead Scholarship Award. Councilman Armstead, would you do the presentation, please?
I would ask that Jeffrey Knight, Jr. come up to the podium. A couple of months ago, we gave out a couple of scholarships. It's something that my family and I do every year, and the scholarships are usually funded with 2 of my council checks as my way of giving back. Shortly after I gave out the 2 awards, I ran into Jeffrey's mom, who I've known all of my child life and adult life. And of course, I knew Jeffrey's father, God rest his soul. We grew up together, played many games of basketball together. He beat me up on the court quite a few times. But anyway, the story was so touching in that he's an athlete, and not only is he an athlete, he is a straight A student. And to me, I was so impressed, I made a commitment to his mother that we would do something for him. And what we did, we started something, we called it a Yes We Can initiative, and a can meaning actually that, aluminum cans. And we solicited some of our friends and some family members, and we told them to hold whatever cans they had the extra scrap that they were going to put out, just to hold it for us. And amongst about 10 people began holding and collecting items for us. And within a couple of months, we had raised $500 for this young man. And so it gives me great pleasure, and I'm honored to be able to help him. And I just know that he's going to do wonders. He's going to have a great career ahead of himself. And he's going to school for academics, not only basketball, but academics. And it just gladdens my heart when our young people can achieve and do as well as he has. Mr. Knight, Jeffrey Knight, congratulations. And
Thank you. We're going to move on to ordinance on hearing. This is the date, time, and place established for the public hearing on ordinance on hearing. Ordinance 5538.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, shall be amended as follows. Chapter 7, Traffic, 7-33 handicap parking regulations, 7-33.1A handicap parking on street. Add 33 East 11th Street, 1 spot, 45 West 12th Street, 1 spot. Delete 516 Conklin Place, 1 spot, 713 East Curtis Street, 1 spot, 1011 John Street, 1 spot, 328 Spruce Street, 1 spot, 427 Washington Avenue, 1 spot.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Has any written communications been received?
No, sir.
Does anybody wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Motion, please.
Council President, I'd like to close the hearing on ordinance 5538 and take a second.
Second.
Mr. Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Purcell.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 5539.
An ordinance approving a lease agreement with Lynx for use of Firehouse Number 1, 201 Southwood Avenue as a food pantry.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anybody who wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I move that the hearing be closed and ordinance 55-39 be adopted and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Purcell.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 5540.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2, Administration as follows. Delete Section delete Section 2-7.1 in its entirety, and a new Section 2-7.1 as follows. Creation of committees, appointment of members. Delete Section 2-7.2 in its entirety, and then add new 2-7.2 committees of the City Council.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anybody who wishes to be heard on the ordinance?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. Armstead.
Yes, I think it's important that the public be aware of this particular ordinance. But first, I have to preface what I'm going to say and give you a little background of our form of government. Here in Linden, we have what we refer to as a strong council, weak mayor form of government. We have a committee form of government. And what that means is that the council president appoints committees, be it personnel and finance, public works. In any event, this particular form of government, it works. And for years, I've watched and sat back and watched people run for public office in this town, particularly the mayors, and they sought to have a council president because they knew the importance of having a council president, because they know having a council president who is aligned with them would give them the kind of, they'd have the ability to have their agendas put forth and do what they thought was appropriate to run the city. And for years, it's never been challenged, okay? So last year, seeing what I refer to as maybe a government out of control, where people were brazenly doing what they felt with regards to hiring, I decided to do something about it. I sought out my good friend Jimmy Moore, and we decided to run for mayor and council president. And my thinking was that if I could put a man or help to have a person who would assign people to the proper committees, who felt that the public in the city of Linden should be put first, that we would take this challenge on. And that's exactly what we did. Unfortunately, there are some who now that Jimmy Moore is the council president and assigns committees don't necessarily like the way things are going. It was fine before, when they were in control. But now, things have changed. And James Moore is the council president. He has assigned me to probably the most powerful committee in town. That is the Personnel and Finance Committee. And with that, there are some who would have liked to have been on that committee, and they're not. So they saw fit to introduce an ordinance to circumvent the process, to dilute the strength of the Personnel and Finance Committee. So it is imperative that the people in this town know what is going on here. And with that, I am going to cast my vote. Oh, no, I'll have to wait for a roll call. Right. But I will be voting no on this particular ordinance.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
Okay. With all due respect to Council President, and Councilman Armstead, I just got here, so his comments kind of don't pertain to me. I'm supporting this ordinance because, as a member of the governing body, I have made recommendations to the Finance and Personnel Committee that have not been looked at for months. We know that the nepotism policy took 4 months before it was finalized, and the committee proper did not touch it at all, in my opinion. There are a lot of things going on that a lot of you all don't know about as far as within the personnel structure of the city of Linden, and I believe strongly that one person, the chair of 3 really important committees, something will fail, and we've witnessed the failure. Tonight, there was an incident where, something was put on to be voted on that was, not properly looked at through the Personnel and Finance Committee. We also have items that I've suggested, hiring people when there's a vacancy coming, or it's coming, instead of us waiting until the vacancy exists and, trying to fill it, immediately, we should be more proactive. Post the positions when we know a vacancy is coming through. That does not happen. The hiring process is, it's not the where it needs to be. This committee needs to be separated from finance because they are 2 critical committees. And you cannot be focusing on the budget, focusing on counseling forms and, evaluation processes and things like that if you're focusing primarily on the financial part of the committee. They should be separate. And I'm not on any committee other than landfill, but I have contributed a great deal to the personnel functions of the city of Linden. I want my colleagues to consider supporting this ordinance because it's going to make our lives a lot easier. If I send something to this committee, I hope it will get looked at before 3 months. And we don't have to wait for background checks. We're just now getting to work on this, and I requested that we look into it in February. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Council President.
Councilman Brown. And Councilman Rashana Cosby-Hurley, I'm asking the clerk, deputy clerk, to go get the list of the committee assignments so you're aware of what committees you're on.
I have it here. I'm a liaison to several committees, but on committees proper, I am not on any committee other than landfill.
So clarify that.
Liaisons do not have any real power. They observe and bring the information back to the council. I'm the liaison for the Board of Education. I'm the liaison for Linden Housing Authority, and I do attend their meetings every month. I am the liaison for public assistance, and I have worked with the director of that program, and we've also brought in another program, which we'll talk about later, Linden Family Success. I am the liaison, I was the liaison to senior citizens, which met in the afternoon when I was unavailable, so I asked that the original liaison, Mr. Sadowski, resume his duties because he's a retired person, and that happens. I am a member, of the Construction Code Committee, and we only meet if there's a necessity. And I am a member of the Linden Landfill Committee, again, which only meets if there's a necessity. I am the liaison to the Mayor's Youth Commission, and my concerns that I had expressed to that commission fell on deaf ears, so I don't participate in that at all. So that's just to clarify.
Thank you very much. Mr. Brown.
Thank you. Like Councilwoman Rashana, I'm new on council as well. Now, to give background on this ordinance, this is actually something I talked about back in January. I made 5 requests for this ordinance to be put on. I'm not sure if members of the public have the Personnel Finance Committee, but if you look on this, you look on the top, it says Personnel and Finance. What this ordinance is about is separating the personnel into one department, the finance into another. Now, when you, throughout the years, we've heard about employees getting outrageous salaries. So let's address that issue. What you have is that, let's just say employee A wants to get a raise or wants to be promoted. It goes to the personnel department. Now to find those funds, guess what department it goes to? A committee, the finance committee. And just like Councilman Armstead said, it is the most powerful committee in the city. But notice when he talked, he never mentioned anything about Linden residents. He never mentioned anything about change. He talked about himself and Council President Moore. And what my frustration is that they're not the victims here. Linden residents are the victim. We passed a budget which caused a 4% increase. I'm getting phone calls from people who are either foreclosing their homes, have to sell their homes. Let's nip it in the, this is to address our personnel issues that we have with employees and our financial issues. The budget should be reviewed every month, line item by line item. If you look on this personnel agenda, look how many people either being promoted, giving raises. And here's the thing, the council gets this on Monday. We're expected to vote on this the next day. If you look on item number 21 on there, that bill list of $1.4 million, what Councilwoman Rashana was making reference to is that we get this agenda and we're expected to vote on this tonight. Yet, this is the bill list right here. There's a couple of mistakes on here. One of them being a bill for $36,500, which we passed a resolution for a corporation saying that we would not pay them until we got audit reports. I asked the Personnel Finance Committee, why was that put on? And they couldn't give me an answer. That we need checks and balances here in Linden, and it starts with here. Furthermore, I asked Councilman Armstead and his Finance and Personnel Committee, and I asked the mayor if they had any objections to this to please let me know. I asked it last night, and I sent them a memo to avoid this. And I called Council President today, Moore, correct me if I'm wrong, that I called you twice. One, asking for a response from them so we can avoid this. And I called you today and saying I want to avoid this display that we're doing right now.
This is debate.
And you're right, and I'm glad that we're holding ourselves in the quorum right now. The bottom line is that, in my opinion, this is what's in the best interest of Linden residents, where you're creating checks and balance. Every month, the bill list should be looked at. Every month, we should be looking at ways to reduce expenses here. And in addition, earlier this year, when we had the budget committee, everyone, including yourself, Council President, and members of the Personnel Finance Committee said that we did a good job. And all we're doing is creating a separate budget committee, so that rather than wait till next year to work on the budget, you're constantly working on the budget every month.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, would you read the changes that exist in the proposed ordinance? Right now, the City Council President appoints the committees and the chairman and the membership. And this bill ordinance would do what, Mr. Clerk?
Each standing committee shall be composed of 3 or more members of the council, but not to exceed 4 members of council, appointed by a majority of the members of council, then present and voting at the organizational meeting of the council, to serve until the next organizational meeting. The president shall designate 1 member of each committee as chairman. Each standing committee shall have jurisdiction over the operations of its respective department or functions, with the exception of personnel issues, which shall remain under the jurisdiction of the Finance Personnel Committee. Each city department is subject to the administrative jurisdiction of its respective standing committee, subject to review and approval by City Council.
Thank you. So this is what I consider to be a monumental change in the form of our government in probably the last 30 years. It's not a regular ordinance. It's a major change in the form of how our government works.
Council President, if I have a question.
And that's my opinion on it. Mr. Brown.
I want to remind you, and I wasn't finished. One, when the Budget Committee was formed, we provided minutes of our meetings the day after a meeting to council members here. So rather than wait the day before a council meeting, members were informed as far as money that was being appropriated and spent and ideas that we had. We've asked the Personnel Finance Committee to provide that, and we still have not gotten that. In addition, we came up with creative ways, and we met with residents on ways to reduce spending. And again, the Personnel Finance Committee has not done that. So my question to you and other members who are voting against this, I would like to know.
We have not had a vote yet, sir.
But I would like to know, and I'm asking for them to explain how they believe keeping the Finance and Personnel Committee together is in the best interest of Linden residents.
Thank you. Any further comments, Mr. Sheehy?
I'd like to comment. I'm on the Personnel and Finance Committee. Personnel, I think I can do a good job for this city. Finance, I'm not the greatest guy with numbers, but since I've been here and since we've had a new council president, there hasn't been a raise given out. Before January, we all seen what was given out on this Personnel and Finance Committee. The only raises that have been given out since I've been on this committee is union. Because of the union, we would have to give them a raise, and most of it is in the police and fire department, where when someone retires, they have to be promoted. That's the only thing that has been given out. And another fact, there's people been on this council for years, terms. I think we've even had a councilman up here 3 terms before he was ever on the Personnel and Finance Committee. I've been here a term, and I was never on any committees. It's mostly common when you first start off, you do get put on light committees. But I was put on light committees for 3 years. And like I say, I'm not a numbers guy, but I'm the most honest, hard-working guy up here. And you know, ain't nobody gonna take that from me. So if you, and when I was told in the 3 years that I was here, everything takes time, everything takes time. So now, I brought it up in February and it ain't passed yet. Well, we can't put it, we gotta put it into next year's budget anyway. So why rush and make mistakes? So we have time to do it. I had the same problem when I first got here. You know, I would stay up all night till I fixed it. That's the way I was brought up. You stay up until you fix the problem. You don't even go home till you fix the problem. But we got council people now, oh, it's running late, we got to get out of here. Oh, I don't want to have more meetings. Well, you know, everybody's got their tit for tat. But you know what? This out here in public isn't the place for it. This is what we should be doing behind closed doors. And I'm on the Personnel and Finance Committee, and I'll tell you what, my heart is in it. And believe you me, you people can trust me. And that's all I have to say here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mr. Council President. Mr. Council President.
Mr. Frazier.
May I have a comment, too?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I, too, am on Personnel and Finance. I'm going in my 14th year as a councilman. This is my 2nd year on Personnel and Finance. I really haven't found that the system is completely broken. And when it's not broken, I can't see any reason perhaps to overhaul it. Yes, it requires, I'll use the term, perhaps some fixings and so forth. But I think the committee structure and the way it has been has gotten us quite far at this time with perhaps very few problems. So at this point, I see no reason why to change it. I think personnel and finance work hand in hand well together. Again, as my colleague Mr. Shea had said, there are times that we don't know all the answers. We are human beings, okay? Perfection is perhaps one of the things that we strive for, and we'll continue to strive for it. I think we're going in the right direction. to break it apart, to get more people into it. That's more hands in the soup or in the pie, makes it a little bit more difficult. We want to keep government as simple as it is, or as simple as it should be, so that everyone can understand it. And that's what I'm for. So I thank you very much.
Thank you,
I'm
Mr.
not going to vote for this. Thank you.
Council President, I have one more comment.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown.
Yes. To suggest that the system is broken, I want to make sure I'm clear. It's not a matter if the system is broken. It's a matter of making things better, running it more properly. Give you a perfect example. In 2001, and then also this last recession, when you find that something is not working, you do fix it, or you make it better. To me, like you said, getting more council members involved is going to be better. Here's the result of the Personnel Finance Committee. It's not this committee. When I'm looking at the past, perfect example from 2003 to 2009, taxes in Linden went up 46%. That's more than any other surrounding towns that are around here. When I'm looking at the last budget, when $88.1 million was used out of our surplus to fund the budget, along with other items, and I throw a red flag, the budget was passed. The results that we've been getting from the Personnel Finance Committee, and take this one aside, is that taxes have increased, and we could have done a better job. If you look around in Linden and the houses that are for sale, and you look at the number of foreclosures, and you look at the number of tax appeals that we're getting, and we only have a reserve left of 1.3 million, you know what? We need to do a better job, all of us. And in my opinion, if the government, federal and state government, finds that they need to reform in order to do a better job, we need to reform to do a better job. Get more people involved in the budget process, get more people involved in the nuts and bolts, so we can make better decisions.
Thank you. Any further comment? Motion, please.
I make a motion to move ordinance 55-40. Let's look for a second.
Second.
Mr. Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
No.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
I'm voting yes because I do believe it's the best interest for the Linden residents if we do have two separate groups. And I believe we will all, as a resident and a taxpayer, we will all benefit from this. Yes.
Sheehy?
No.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
No.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No. I'd like to move into the consent agenda. All items listed with the asterisks are considered to be routine by the City Council. It will be entertained in one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless the council member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the agenda order of business and considered in the normal sequence on the agenda. Does anybody wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Then I'll ask for a motion.
I make a motion to move consent items number 1 and 2 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Move it to committee reports. Mr. Purcell?
Council President, we still
Yes.
have... Don't we have the other items? I just did 1 through 2.
Yeah, this is
Mr. Brown?
I'm sorry, I misspoke.
All right. Mr. Purcell, committee report.
Sure, I'll make it brief. In the 10th Ward, at the last caucus meeting, yesterday, we discussed about leaves. So, starting this year, we're going to start a pilot program in the 5th and 10th Ward that all leaves will be bagged and placed at the curb. If you need any bags, we have a limited supply. You know, you just call me and I'll drop them off at your house so you can pick them up. If you do need bags, Home Depot has them for $1.88 for, 5 bags. So
We're looking to save money and use that manpower distributed somewhere else, so you don't have the 3 trucks, the bucket load, or 5 or 6 guys out there. Now you just have the bags at your curb, pick the bags up and put them in the truck, and then they bring them down for compost. Got a little flack on it, but if you look, Union, bigger town than ours, they do it. I had a complaint about seniors, couldn't do it, but I go, Union has seniors and their town looks perfect, everything's put out to the curb, its catch basins are clean. The other issue we had was about 2 weeks ago with the Winfield Carnival. Big problem, gangs came in, groups who didn't want to come there and have fun like in the past, family-oriented type carnival. What we had were groups from the outside coming in just wanted to start trouble. So I'd like to commend, Linden Police, County Police, Winfield Police, Clark, Cranford, for coming in there and doing their job and moving this group out. They were very professional and did an excellent job. Next year, we're going to be sitting down and we're going to talk to Chief in Winfield, the mayor, our mayor here, police chief. They're all going to sit down and make sure this doesn't happen again. But everybody goes, why didn't Linden Police do anything? You can't do anything unless you know it's going to happen. So they seen something was going to happen between them, the county police, and Winfield. They communicated, and the problem was resolved. The groups were moved out. They did take garbage. Next year, we're going to find out and make sure the carnival's not during trash day and they're not piling in the street. The one thing I was worried about is them setting all this trash on fire. But it worked out well. We really didn't, the groups moved on and we didn't have that much of a problem. With trees trimmed, they did put the list in. The lists are in, so it's going to take a while. They're busy with other trees with the storm we had. So it's going to move forward. They have about 20, 25 trees on there. So curbs and sidewalk reports in. So whoever called me for a curb or sidewalk only with tree damage, that's in. And if you have any problems, questions, call me 486-4392 or Councilman Rich at msn.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Frazier?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, can I do one more thing, please? Sorry, Mr. Frazier.
But of course.
And before we get to the personnel and finance thing, I'd just like to congratulate the new hirees. If you want to stand up, I think we have police, fire, and promotions. We have several promotions on there, so good luck. You have a great future in Linden. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Frazier.
Mr. Frazier.
Are you ready now?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I am on the negotiating committee for the city of Linden. And I'm going to read a transcript here which will be placed in public record, and this is necessary to confirm our contract negotiations with Teamsters Local 469. May I read it? And I will seek a second and request that it be voted upon. Whereas the City of Linden has previously ratified and executed the terms and conditions of employment for the blue-collar workers, Teamsters Local 469, and whereas the city has finalized the corrected version of the terms and conditions of employment for the blue-collar workers, Teamsters Local 469, and whereas the city is currently complying with these terms and have done so since the city and Teamsters Local 469 have ratified the terms and conditions of employment for these employees for the terms January 1, 2009 through December 31, 2013. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City Council hereby authorizes the Honorable Mayor Richard Gabunka and the City Clerk to execute the corrected version of the city's agreement with Teamsters Local 469. May I have a second on this?
Second.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Zadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yamakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Purcell.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. To continue on with my report, with regards to the Ninth Ward, if you'll notice in the last several days, we had to make certain pavement repairs on D-Wood Terrace. They have been concluded. I've ridden down there several times, and I feel that it's been done right, and we're totally, I should say, in compliance the way the pavement should be, and I want to thank the engineering department for that. With regards to the Ninth Ward, again, the additional paving that will be done during, hopefully, the next month or so will be Ferber Avenue from Berlant to Raritan Road. We hope all goes well with that. The other item, too, I'm on the landfill committee as well as the Hawk Rise, and I've in the past have brought you up to date with regards to a walkway, an environmental walkway that's going around the forested area near our landfill. Again, our landfill is off of Lower Road. Right now, the walkway will give the opportunities to all residents and even people from outside, students and so forth, to see a forested area in an urban community. This abuts the Rawway River, and the walkway will take you very close to the Rawway River. And believe me, you will see deer, wild turkey, red-tailed fox, red-tailed hawks, many various plant species and so forth. This is going to be something I think that will eventually be a gem for our city. In addition to that, we're contemplating on the old landfill of installing solar panels. We were being completely aware of green energy. Solar panels will allow us to convert energy from the sun to electricity. Presently, we're recapturing methane gas. That's the gas that accumulated for numerous years as a result of the materials that were placed in the landfill. Once we get we already have a handle on the gas. We have to, at this particular time, flare it until we could make a decision from a developer, hopefully, to either utilize it as electricity or sell it off as regular gas. So a lot of things are moving down there, and I encourage you that once this walkway is completed, to please visit it. You'll be utterly surprised that there's another side of Linden, an environmental side. My colleague in the 10th Ward touched on bagging leaves, and I have to say this publicly, I'm not convinced that this is the best way to go. But at the same time, he is going to administer a pilot program, and I'll certainly go along with the pilot program, but it won't affect the 9th Ward. I think that the way we've been handling the picking up of leaves and the reclamation of leaves has been done very, very efficiently and very thoroughly. It's one of the things that many people have said, you know, once you have your leaves, they go into the street and you get the necessary equipment and the manpower from DPW, they do a tremendous job and get it well taken care of. So we'll see what the pilot program brings, and if it's successful, then certainly we'll have to go along with it. But in the meantime, we look forward to that. I too, as my colleague had mentioned, I too congratulate the new police officers. Welcome aboard. The new fire department personnel, welcome aboard. You're coming into Linden. We're very proud of our emergency units, police and fire, as well as our many other units, DPW and many others. We have a fine work group, and we thank you for being a part of it. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Mrs. Yamamoto.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the Fire Committee, the Fire Prevention Bureau collected a total of $2,791.12 for the month of July 2011. During the month of July, the Fire Department responded to 534 calls for assistance, including 21 fires, We have an increase in first responder calls to 192, so the fire department has been very active. We've seen an increase in fires over the past few months, so just want to remind everyone about fire safety to please, a couple of them were house fires, so please be vigilant, check your stoves, be careful, okay? I'd also like to congratulate our new officers as well as our firemen. The fire rookies, as we call them, are in the academy, and these two gentlemen will be joining them. So we wish you well, and we look forward to your future in Linden. Okay, from the library, once again, I just want to remind everyone that the Friends of Linden Library are sponsoring their Tricky Tray on Saturday, October 22nd at St. Elizabeth and Mary's Academy. Anyone interested in making donations of new items can drop them off at the library. This is an important fundraiser for the library, the only one for this year, basically, to help defray costs of equipment, materials, so we ask for your participation. Our 9/11 ceremony in the city of Linden this year, the mayor has asked me to announce this one also. Sunday, September 11th, we'll start out at 10 a.m. in front of City Hall with representatives from the police and fire department. So we welcome anyone interested in attending. The first one will be at 10 a.m. And on September 11th, we will also, the 8th Ward will be having its annual candlelight vigil on September 11th to honor 8th Ward Zone Wanda Green and the other heroes that made the ultimate sacrifice 10 years ago. Our candlelight vigil at the Wanda Green part will begin at 6:30 p.m. on Mack Place. All are invited to attend that one as well. The Public Works Department is now down to one tree crew. With the recent storm damage and downed trees, the department is no longer working ward by ward on tree lists, but rather on an emergency work list. Therefore, some trees I have submitted have not been done to date. Please be patient, they'll be done in the near future. And I'd like to announce also that the 5th and 8th Wards will be having a community cookout this Sunday, August 21st at Iose Park from 1 to 4 p.m. The 5th and 8th Wards border each other and share a great deal in common, and Councilwoman Cosby Hurling and I have been working closely together on issues concerning both wards. This is how council should be working. We welcome you to come out this Sunday to meet with us and have some food and fun. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mrs. Giancarlo. Mr. Sheehy.
Thank you, Council President. From the Recycling Committee, we received a check for our recycled paper of $15,232.
Okay.
For our co-mingled recyclables, we received $2,216. And for our recycled steel, which has been going down and down every month, because when you put your recycles out on the curb, it actually is the city of Linden, and we do have people coming around actually stealing the steel. So we're down this month, we only received $2,695. From the Public Works Committee, last week I was asked a couple questions that I didn't have the answers for. They asked why there was 3 men on one garbage truck. That day, Councilman Brown went out on the garbage truck to experience it and see how, the input that he can come back with. That's why there was 3 men on that garbage truck that day. And it was presented to me from a citizen to go look at some used trucks. Believe you me, those used trucks were worse than the ones that we have. Our superintendent of Public Works is working on buying used trucks, but there's a problem. It takes time, and it has to go through the budget, and you have to get money. We are trying to close the deal on a used truck. I'd rather not give the price, but I think it's an excellent price, believe you me. And I would like to congratulate the firemen that are being put on, and I'd like to congratulate the policemen that are being put on. And I'm glad to see that there's 2 women being put on. No offense to the gentlemen, but we do need women. Personally, I'm going to vote no because I'd rather take them from the test. It's nothing against you people. I'm glad you're here, and I know you're going to do a good job. But myself, personally, I feel if we're not in desperate need of it, we should go through the testing procedure for the people that live in Linden first. But I congratulate these ladies and that gentleman for getting on. It's no offense against you. Please don't take it that way. And in the 7th Ward, we will be paving Southwood Avenue between 14th Street, the bridge from 14th Street to School 2. The roadway isn't that bad if you go down there, but you have to realize with the truck traffic that we have, the potholes that are there, they're not huge, but the noise that it makes for those residents, it's horrible, you know. So we are going to pave it, but it's probably not going to get done this year. Like I said, things take time. I hate to say that, but some people might get used to hearing it. And on 15th Street, West 15th, along Eddy Avenue and Winans Avenue, we're going to be giving out parking tickets because we're having a sight problem at the stop streets because the line of sight is awful because the people are parking too close to the curbs, to the corners, to the corners. So when you get your ticket from parking too close to the corner, please don't call me. I'm warning you. And on my last note, I'd like to, I don't know if you can call it a congratulation or take my hat off to Chief Rizzo. Our fire chief has been through a lot the last, I'd say, 2 years. And I think he really handled it well. It's a job that I really wouldn't want because he has to protect his men, he has to put up with politics, and he has to deal with a budget. And the bad thing is, everything that happens, he has to personally explain it to me, which I really appreciate him taking the time and explaining his department to me. Every time I asked the man a question, he gave me a straight answer, and that's all I do, and I highly respect the man, and I really take my hat off to him, what he put up with in the last 2 years, dealing with everything we had to go through. Thank you, Chief. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Councilman Shi. Councilman Sadowski.
Thank you, Council President. I have a bunch of small things, but I think to the city and to the 6th Ward, they're important. First of all, I did hand in the list of sidewalk repairs. I went around before, some of you called me up. We still have this week, if you have a sidewalk that needs repaired, please give me a call. And my phone number is 862-0749, or just call up the city clerk's office. She will forward it to me. We had 2 or 3 people mention the sidewalk by Verizon, where they're having the pickets. If you know the one on the side street, Munsell, it's all ripped up. We've been after Verizon to fix it for the last 2 years. What the city has done, sent a final letter to them. If they don't fix it, the city themselves will fix it and send them the bill. So that will be repaired. The other thing, in the 6th Ward, people have called up and asked why 5 or 6 of those cherry trees in Wheeler Park were taken down. We called up the county and was informed that each of the tree was infested with ants, and they had to come down, and they will put up new trees next spring. I think I had 4 phone calls on that. This coming week, we will be having a meeting with the new head of the airport. It's C&S engineers, at the present consultants on the future of the current projects at the airport. Once we have the meeting, I will report next month the results of that meeting. With 9/11 coming, which Councilwoman Yamakaitis mentioned, on Saturday, 9/10, we are having a little get-together out here with the girder, one of the girders from the towers. It will be presented out here. Mr. Shi and myself will be in charge. We have the police coming, we have the fire department coming, we have a short service, there will be a couple of plaques, and it's for the girder. It's a solemn occasion. So please, it's very short, but I think you would appreciate it, and a little dedication to the people who lost their lives. It will be at 11 o'clock, and to be truthful, you'll be out of there by 11:45. Okay, that takes care of that. Okay, the other thing which has been going on, this is the 6th Ward. As concerning the proposed soccer field by the county at Wheeler Park, Mr. Priscilla and myself have had a meeting with Mr. Ronald Zuber, who's the Deputy Director of Parks and Community Services for the freeholders. Also at the meeting was Chris Hudak. It was our understanding that there was going to be a soccer facility erected in Wheeler Park, which is in a residential area of the 6th Ward in the city of Linden. I do understand that improving conditions of this field will benefit those who use this site, but I need to know and be aware of what implications are going to be to the residents of the 6th Ward and the city. What we requested of them is that the county keep us informed as to what the plans are for this facility, so that I may keep my constituents up to date on the status of when, how, and where it's going to be. I have residents contacting me regarding this facility, and unfortunately, I am unable to answer some of the questions that they propose. The field will be right next to the highway on Stiles Street side. I asked the representatives from the Division of Parks and Community Renewal, along with the engineers and any other professionals that assisted in this project, attend and make a presentation to the Linden residents. At the present time, we have a tentative schedule of September 7th at 7 o'clock up here at the City Hall. This has to be confirmed. Once it's confirmed, we will let you know 2 ways. We will put it on Channel 36, and secondly, I will be walking the ward and part of the city handing out leaflets concerning the meeting. So if you have any questions about the soccer park, please give me a call or come to the meeting, but we will be in contact with that. To finish up, we'd just like to congratulate the people being hired by the city, the police and firemen, and we just want to welcome you to Linden's community, and like we said, I'm sure you will do a fine job. Any questions, please give me a call at the house. Thank you, that ends my report.
Thank you, Councilman Sadowski. Councilwoman Cosby Hurley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening again, everyone. This is the 5th Ward information that I want to share. But first, let me just say happy birthday to Cece. It's her birthday on Saturday. The traffic study has been completed for Charles Street and Union, and it's been determined that we have not had enough accidents, thank goodness, that would call for a 4-way stop sign. So there won't be a 4-way stop sign at the intersection of Union and Charles Street at this time. The Ingalls Avenue traffic study is still being conducted, and I'll let everyone know as soon as we get the report. There's a concern that people dodge the Park Avenue light, so they go through Ingalls, and you know, some of the neighbors were concerned about that, so the traffic study is still being conducted. Okay. Congratulations again to Ms. Strickland and for your efforts. I'm looking forward to the walkathon. I'll get my sneakers all strapped up, and hopefully we'll get a lot of support for this very important event on October the 22nd. August the 26th, there will be an official grand opening, and the Linden community is invited to attend. It is for the Linden Family Success Center, which is run by the Communities in Cooperation, Pamela Jones. They are housed at the Linden Multipurpose Center on John Street, and they are there 5 days a week, and they provide an awesome service to our community. So if you are available, please stop in for the grand opening. There will be a tour, there will be guest speakers, and there are going to be refreshments. It starts at 3 p.m. Friday, August the 26th. I'm scheduled to attend In October, a negotiations workshop, which is going to be done by the League of Municipalities. I'm looking forward to that because we know that the contract negotiations are coming up soon, 2013, and provided that I'm here, I'm hopeful that I can, have some input, or at least, contribute a little bit to the bargaining. The city employees are not our enemy, but we can no longer continue to be as generous as we have been. So I'm looking forward to going to that workshop and at least getting some information to bring back to my colleagues here. Congratulations to the officers that are coming on board. I know that at least 2 of you do reside in the city of Linden, so I'm looking forward to working with you, as I do have a relationship with the police department, and I support you guys 100%, so welcome. Congratulations to our firefighters. You'll do a good job. Just, hang in there. I thought, though, that we were going to have, I know there's another one coming up for retirement, so I'm looking forward to welcoming the other one. As I said before in my comments, we have to be proactive when it comes to vacancies that exist, public safety, or if there's a need. I know that there are going to be 2 traffic positions that are going to be on for tonight, number 11 on the Personnel Finance Committee report, which concern me because they were never published publicly. They were internally published, and people who actually work in the Department of Police and Public Safety were never notified and did not have an opportunity to apply. These positions have been rumored to be coming available for quite some time. I am not the person who makes the employment announcements. It is not my duty, and I did not feel like I have to call every resident, because if I forgot one person, then it's my fault that you weren't made aware of the job. It is my belief, and I strongly believe, that every single position that is going to be filled, whether it's on a per diem basis, or whether or not it's going to be full-time, part-time, whatever it is, should be published. The publish is not that hard. Our city website publishes all of the open positions right now for summer camps. Meanwhile, we've been hiring per diem this and per diem that. Moving forward, I will not support any position that has not been publicly posted. The 2 on item number 11, I actually spoke with the chairman of the committee, Councilman Armstead, and based on the chief of police's recommendation, for financial reasons, I was willing to concede and allow 1. Give veteran preference, get 1 person provisionally hired until an open competitive test was done. We weren't able to get that accomplished. So it is my opinion, and I urge my colleagues to consider, don't support something that everybody hasn't had a chance to know about. We are, and we should be, moving towards equal opportunity for the citizens of Linden, period. So those are my comments there. Also, number 8, the Board of Health is separate. However, it's funded through the city, never published. So I disagree with those, and I just wanted to say that so everybody was clear. Back to the 5th Ward. Grant Street from St. George's Avenue to Dill Avenue will be paved in the next round. That is going to happen this year, and we're voting to approve that, as well as the sidewalks. I know that some sidewalks have been damaged by city trees, and if I do not have you on my list as of Thursday, the trees won't go on for this cycle. So please call me at 908-477-4120 if a city tree has damaged your sidewalk and we have not already added you to our list. School is going to be opening September the 7th. And I'm excited to announce that I will be attending the 2nd annual Ball for Life Back to School event. I made donations last year. I volunteered with them, helping with the children. And this year it's scheduled for September the 28th. And this is being done by the Ball for Life, which is managed by Wally Dixon, who's running the organization. So I'm excited about that. All of the council members have been invited, so hopefully we can all contribute to this worthwhile cause. It's a 2nd annual event. And I think that's all. Oh, no, finally. The pilot program for bagging. We're going to start that, and I thought that we would do it in different areas of the city. Councilman Pichelle suggested bagging the leaves. It's not a bad idea. If we can save men and manpower and have them on another assignment, it's worthwhile to give it a shot. So we will start in September in 5 and 10, and we will bag the leaves. So the residents are expected to, bag the leaves and leave them curbside. If you need bags, I'm going to get the bags from Public Works and have them available for you. Just call me. It's not going to be a problem. I'll drop them off for you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Armstead?
Yes, Mr. President, I have the following reports that are specific to the Fourth Ward. Roselle Street has been repaved. Approximately a year ago, Roselle Street was paved, and there was some utility work that was done immediately following. So since then, we had reached out to the county to repave Roselle Street, and they have complied, and now Roselle Street is once again a nice, smooth street again. The other thing I'd like to announce is that there will be the 3rd Annual Community Day Cookout on August 27th by Little Lamb Daycare, Janelle Henderson, at Dr. King Park. All are welcome to attend. It will begin at noon and end at approximately 7 in the evening. Next, I will go to the license report. The following licenses, permits, and transcripts issued in the city clerk's office during the month of July 2011, and fees received have been turned over to the municipal treasurer of the city of Linden. There were 87 birth and death and marriage transcripts for $1,290. There were 27 marriage licenses for $81 and respectively $675 state revenue. There was 14 miscellaneous revenues for $81.34. There were 2 bingo raffles for $40, 246 EDRS vital statistics for $3,690. Interest paid in the clerk's account was 21 cents, and $5 in burial fees for a total of $5,862.55. The following Finance and Personnel Committee items are requested for approval. Number 1, the Department of Public Works, the approval of a paid FMLA leave of absence for Matt Hirsch from September 1st, 2011 to September 30th, 2011. Number 2, in the Department of Public Works, the approval of the unpaid FMLA leave of absence for John Murkowski from September 1st, 2011 to October 31st, 2011. Number 3, in the Department of Public Works, the approval of a paid FMLA leave of absence for Frederick Johnson from July 25th, 2011 to August 31st, 2011. Number 4, in the Department of Public Property and Community Services, the approval of an acceptance of a sidebar agreement with John Keefe Welder to perform welding and fabrication services for the City of Linden until a permanent replacement can be obtained effective August 17th, 2011, subject to ratification of the FMBA Union 34. Number 5, in the Department of Public Property and Community Services, the approval of an unpaid FMLA leave of absence for Corey Higgs from September 6, 2011 to October 17, 2011. Number 6, in the Department of Public Property and Community Services, the approval of an unpaid leave of absence from their present civil service titles for Daniel Diaz and John Keefe, effective August 15, 2011 until August 15, 2012. Number 7, in the Department of Public Property and Community Services, the approval of an unpaid FMLA leave of absence for Ralph Horsch III from July 12, 2011 to August 23, 2011. Number 8, in the Board of Health, the approval of hiring of Yuri Nowicki as a part-time animal control officer per diem, an hourly rate of $17.62, not to exceed 650 hours per year, effective August 17, 2011. Number 9, in the Construction Code Department, the approval of a title change for Ernie Green to Clerk 2 at an annual salary of $38,429, effective August 17, 2011, to clarify his proper civil service title. Number 10, in the Police Department, the approval of an unpaid FMLA leave of absence for Daniela Sanchez from July 25, 2011 to August 5, 2011, and September 12, 2011 to September 23, 2011, and November 7, 2011 to November 18, 2011. Number 11, in the Police Department, the hiring of 2 provisional parking enforcement officers, Joe Lindsay and Patrick Michael Cassidy, effective August 22, 2011, at the annual salary of $31,972. the City of Linden will require an open competitive announcement be made for these positions. Number 12, in the Police Department, the change in employee status of J.C. Mojica from temporary clerk to full-time clerk 1 at a starting salary of $31,972 effective August 17, 2011. Number 13, in the Police Department, approval of dispatcher Jessica Slowinski to the title of Group Leader with a $1,000 annual stipend to fill the vacancy created by the retirement of Joanne Kozlowski. Number 14, in the Police Department, the accepting the resignation from the Police Department from Police Officer Kenneth Pogge, effective at the end of business day on August 26, 2011. Number 15, in the Police Department, the approval of the following promotions. Lieutenant Eugene Braun to captain at an annual salary of $130,745 to fill a vacancy created by the anticipated retirement of Captain George Senkas. Sergeant Andrew Barra to lieutenant at the annual salary of $103,830 to fill the vacancy created by the promotion of Eugene Braun to captain, and Police Officer William Mack to sergeant at the annual salary of $94,917 to fill the vacancy created by promotion of Sergeant Andrew Barra to lieutenant effective October 1st, 2001, pending said promotions and pending retirement of Captain George Senkas. Number 16, in the Police Department, the approval of hiring 3 rights list candidates as police officers effective August 22nd, 2001, at the annual salary of $44,690, pending successful completion of all applicable examinations. Number 1, Alnisa M. Jones. Number 2, Stephen Diaz. And number 3, Juan Velarde. Number 17, in the Fire Department, the approval of hiring of James Mazzaro Jr. and Scott F. Maloney as probationary firefighters at an annual salary of $44,690 effective August 17, 2011, pending the successful completion of all applicable background checks and medical evaluations. Number 18, in the Treasurer's Office, the approval of the submittal of the 2012 Best Practices Inventory Questionnaire to the Division of Local Government Services, required to be submitted by September 1st, 2001. Number 19, personnel required to carry out the Department of Clean Communities program. The list is on file in the Treasurer's Office. Number 20, personnel required to carry out the Department of Public Works Services seasonal program. The list is on file in the Treasurer's Office. Number 21, the payment of bills totaling $1,402,407.05. The bills have been signed by the Mayor, Council President, Finance Chairman, and detailed check register and vouchers are on file in the Clerk's Office. I ask that the Treasurer's Office hold a $36,000 $500 check to be paid to the LEDC until an audit is agreed upon, as we initially agreed upon 2 months ago. Number 22, we are in receipt of the investments made by the City Treasurer for the month of July at the rate of 0.75%. I move for approval and ask for a second.
Wait, I still want to get the public up during the explanations.
Council President, no.
Oh, yes, my apologies to the public. One thing that we did agree to starting last month was to allow the public to ask questions with regards to the personal and finance report.
Anybody on my right here have any questions? In the center, please, just come up and state your name.
My name is Latasha Desire. Do I need to state my address?
Please.
1407 Union Street. And I just would like to ask Councilman Armstead, as I guess chairman of the Personnel and Finance Committee, how do we hire people provisionally without at least making sure that they have a background check or that they have done the applicable testing? I mean, I applied for a volunteer position and they wouldn't even hire me without a background check. Yet we're going to hire firemen and police officers, people who are supposed to make us feel secure and comfortable in this town, and yet we don't really know if they're criminals or not. I mean, the least.
You said firemen and police officers?
I mean, you have here that the firemen are hired probationary at the completion of applicable background, like as if the background checks have not been
What item are you talking about?
Mr. Armstead, maybe Chief of Police Sal Pavona can take that
Sal
question.
Pavona can answer that more, can better answer that question for you. I think what we do, when we do hire police and firemen, we do a very thorough background check. That's part of the requirement. But Chief, would you please respond?
Yes, ma'am.
At the time that we present these people to the committee, sometimes all of those checks are not back to us yet. They've been going through the process, and we're waiting for things to come back. Everyone that has been appointed from the fire department has cleared all of the background checks and all of the medical checks.
So you're saying that they're
At the time that we present to the committee, which is weeks ago, we are still going through the process.
So, like my original understanding is that all of their background check information has not come back yet.
Not at the time that we're presenting, but by the time that they get, tonight comes around, it's done.
Oh, so tonight is
Yeah,
done.
oh, absolutely.
And also, I don't understand the hiring process in the city. I'm new as a resident. I've been here for the past 3 years, and I don't understand why the jobs are not posted. Every other city on the state website has jobs posted except for Linden. I mean, I'm a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen, and yet there's no job opportunity for me, I guess, unless I'm associated with a council person or I'm a relative of a council person that
Mr.
I would
President.
hear about a job position.
Mr. President.
If you will, Mr.
Chief.
President, while I still have the floor. Mrs. Desir, if you have some time after the council meeting, I will be more than willing to talk to you. All I can tell you is that, prior to me being a personal and finance committee chairman, there were terms that people used like if you're Ken, you're in, and all kinds of shenanigans went on with regard to the hiring practices in this town. And all I can say is that we have tried our hardest to try to stop that sort of thing from happening in town. And I think that before it's all said and done, we will change the culture in this town with regards to hiring people. And that goes for not only here in the city of Linden, with regards to our school system. We need to have a more diverse workforce that's more reflective of our community. And these are the things that I am striving for, and we will talk later.
Chief,
Mr. President.
Mr. Armstead, I'd like to get the comments from the Chief of Police Pavona in reference to the background checks.
We do an extensive background check on all the candidates, and out of the 3 that you've seen here, we interviewed approximately 10 people and came out with the 3 best that we can put forward. The last thing that we do is send them for a medical check, and that's a promise of employment by the city. So we don't promise anything until they pass that point.
Chief, I think the question is, how do you determine who to hire? Whether you go the Rice list or the people on the civil service list, how do you come to that conclusion?
Right now, these 3 that we're hiring tonight were hired off the Rice list. The problem is the police academy, they have started in July 15th, and now there's not another one until January. If we hired off the regular list right now, we would have an officer just sitting in headquarters, not able to do anything until January. So rather than do that by hiring off the Rice list, we have trained police officers. But what we have to do is get them up to speed with our policies and procedures. They'll be put with a training officer for approximately a month and a half, and they'll be ready to be out on the road on their own.
Mr. President.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Council President.
Wait.
Mr. Brown?
You skipped
Council
me.
Cosby first, sorry.
Mr. President.
Councilwoman?
Mrs. Desir, just to your point, as far as the hiring process, it's been a concern of mine for several years, and even tonight with the items on the agenda, we received an update from the Personnel and Finance Committee that certain things are going to be changing. I'm looking forward to having everything posted on the city's website. If it's an internal position, posting it, letting everyone have an opportunity to apply for it, and then if no candidate is successful, putting it out to everyone, including posting it in every city building, on the city's website, and if we had to, why not put it into our papers that we use for legal notices? because everyone does not use Channel 36 or 42, and everyone does not frequent City Hall, every day. It's just concerning. As far as the nepotism policy, family can't get hired unless they pass a test for elected officials. But people in the same department, if there's a direct relationship, they can't manage their own family. Myself, Councilman Brown, and the personnel department, we've been working on that since January. It just passed last month. So while Councilman Armstead has been here for a long time, there's a lot of stuff that still has yet to change. I'm looking forward to, continuing to make those recommendations. And that's the reason why I'm pleased that the ordinance passed, because personnel is serious business. And you can't be doing finance, which is serious business, and personnel, and expect something not to suffer. So the ordinance passed tonight. I'm, looking forward to having that committee assigned and see who's going to be, put in place where they fit best. But the hiring practice for the city of Linden needs to move, to this century. If it's an open competitive title, it should be posted, period.
Thank you. Councilman Brown?
Thank you. Give me 1 second. I agree with Councilwoman Roshana and the resident. For years, we talked about nepotism. Finally, this year, we got a nepotism policy. That's to address the hiring practice. The next thing is, again, we're in the 21st century, and we don't have positions posted on the internet. I'm sorry, it's just taken too long. Councilwoman Roshana Cosby, my hat goes off to her, because this is one of her issues she's been bringing up for the last couple of months. Make it where residents know what's going on. Give residents the opportunity to apply for a position. One of the other issues that she's brought up, again, a personnel issue, is background checks. People who are working with our children having background checks. And so, I know we're talking about the hiring practice, but background checks is one of the issues as well. With the police and fire side, this is a common practice. But yet, you talked about background checks. That's something that Councilwoman Cosme is working on, is that people who are working with our children, why are we not giving them background checks now? Again, the 21st century, no background checks are done. And so if you see sometimes, the push for us to get this stuff addressed is that, again, just like you bring up these concerns, other residents will bring these concerns up. It's time that we start acting up on these. As a result, on issue number 11, I agree with Councilwoman Roshana Cosby, where right now we have one person who left, so I agree with replacing one person with one, not one for two. To me, it doesn't matter which individual gets the job, but the second position should be posted. That way it gives residents an opportunity to apply. And just to finish off, when Councilwoman Roshana Cosby asked that this position be posted on the internet last night for today, I know of 2 people who went to City Hall to apply for this position already. And it's showing that we're getting residents out there who want to apply. That's it.
Thank you. From the public, Mr. Sharpie?
Yes, my name is Paul Sharpie. I reside at 315 Second Avenue. And I do agree that I was reading in the local newspaper in the Board of Education, which I work for, all their jobs were posted that they have available starting in September. And they must be presented online and everything. So I strongly suggest you have an online job vacancies posted on the internet, local newspapers, posted in the lobby here, all job openings, and be presented in front of the council, those employees that are applying for the position, and they be voted on by the council on their hiring and firing. And and that residents have first priority, due that they'll be working here in the city. And also, all future hirings, that's on the resolution on the fire and police department. And this way, we hire, they work and live, and the money stays within the city. That's what I have to share.
Thank you. Mrs. Totoli?
First of all, on number 20, Rebecca Karen Satoli, 626 Beechwood Road. Number 21, where there's that $36,000 and change check, shouldn't the payment of bills amount be changed and corrected for the record? It shouldn't be 1,400,000. It should be actually 1.3 something. Somebody can do the math. But I think that needs to be corrected before you adjourn your meeting tonight or end your report. As far as the postings, the way the verbiage is on this line item, number 11, does this mean that you will now be making the announcement of a job posting for those two positions?
Mr. President?
Madam Councilwoman?
The way I understand it, and I did speak with the department head for personnel, the names of the individuals, should it pass tonight, will be sent, and they're going to be listed as provisional, and then the open competitive test will be given. However, because of the way the tests are run through civil service, they grade the applicants, veteran preference first, and then they go by the experience and the education. If you put a person provisionally in the position, they now have the experience for that job. So whereas everybody would have been on an equal playing field, you know, if you submit the request with no names, which we can do, now these people who are provisional have a leg up because they can honestly say they are in that position doing those functions. So there's supposed to be two positions though actually published. And the need is, and Chief gave a great argument. I don't deny that we do need people to help our current traffic enforcement officer, and we should be doing it on the weekends. However, 2 for 1 is not a good deal, and not everyone was made aware, not even people that work in the department.
As far as the website, as Councilman Brown alluded to, you should not only have your postings, but you should also have your download for your application, so that you don't have to come in and bother your clerk's office or your personnel department. They can just go right to the website and download it and then do what they have to do with it. Also, as far as postings, Council President Moore, if I remember correctly, back in the February caucus meeting, you had said that all future job positions were going to be posted.
On Linden TV.
Huh? That was in the caucus meeting. I know, I attend them. And Councilman Armstead, be careful what you say about Ken, you're in, and all that other, because I believe...
They said it a lot.
I
heard it so many
believe your
times.
county job was part of that.
I believe...
Council President,
Mr. Mayor.
I would like our labor attorney to comment on the statement made by 5th Ward Councilman Roshana Cosby-Hurling in regards to the civil service test of these two individuals, parking enforcement officers, so that the proper procedure is known by the public when it comes to provisional, and then the civil service test itself. Mr. Roth, would you please explain that to the
Mr.
public?
Roth, please.
Without getting too technical, there are very specific rules on hiring for acting provisionals, probationary. There's different terminologies, but basically, if a civil service test is called, it can be called by one of two ways. We can call for a test, the city can call for a test without any vacancies in it, and a list is generated from civil service, or a test is generated from civil service, and then a list is then generated. Or the city can hire on a provisional basis, and a list is automatically generated. Once a list is generated, there's several different kinds of preferences depending on how the civil service conducts the exam. There's a preference for residency. In town, there's a preference for residency in county, residency in adjacent counties. Disabled veterans get a preference above anybody. Veterans get a preference above anyone. So there's a whole list of different preferences when these tests are given. So you know, the issues were explained to at least one of the provisional appointees who inquired of me of what the testing procedures are. So without being overly cumbersome and complicated, there's a lot of different preferences when they go into reviewing the grades and reviewing the when they start ranking the individuals.
Mr. Roth, being a provisional employee, would that give you an unfair advantage at the civil service test?
The advantage, it's not really, I would not classify it as advantage. They do have, when the grades are done, if someone has experience doing a job, they may get a preferential grade for that one aspect, but it's not the only aspect that's considered. And again, the person could have a job, and the leading case out there, this guy was in the job for 11 years, provisional, and a vet bumped him out, and he lost his job. So after 11 years of having it. So again, these preferences are not ours. They're not. It's not our decision. That's civil services rankings.
Thank you. Comments from the floor? If not, I ask for a motion.
Council President, just one quick clarification on number 16, number 2. It's Stephanie, not Stephen. Stephanie Diaz.
Well, I thought I said Stephanie.
Just for the record.
Thank you.
Okay.
Motion, please.
Okay, I move for approval and request a second.
Second. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Cozio.
With the adjustment on number 21, I vote yes on all.
Brown.
Yes on all except for number 11, and no, so no on number 11, no on 21.
Armstead.
Yes on all.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes on all with the exception of number 8 and number 11.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes on all, no on number 16.
Yamakaitis.
Yes on all, no on number 11.
Frazier.
Yes on all.
Rochelle.
Yes on all with the adjustment on 21.
Mr. Moore.
Yes on all with the adjustment on 21.
And last but not least, one more announcement. I'd like to announce there will be a book bag giveaway on August 28th by the Organization for Better Education at 12 noon at Morning Star Church on Chandler Avenue in Linden, and on 12 noon at First Baptist on September 12th. If you need additional information, you can email me at councilmanarmstead@comcast.net. Again, I can be emailed at councilmanarmstead@comcast.net. That concludes my report, Mr. President. Oh, no, before I do that, I'd like to congratulate the two firemen, I mean, who were appointed this evening, and I would like to congratulate the 3 police officers, and again, have you all stand so the audience can get a good look at you. I'd like to welcome you all, and I know you're all going to do a fine job. Thank you. Concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman Brown?
Thank you. I'll make my report quick. Third Ward business, I want to thank the mayor. We're going to be working on a traffic study in the Third Ward. Streets that I submitted a request to the mayor is on Clark Street, Walnut Street. Those 2 streets are heavy speeding areas. Looking at 4-way stop signs at Maple and East Henry, and Maple and Blanky Street. So right now, I know the mayor, he's working with our police department on seeing how we can address these traffic issues. Also, I want to mention that been working with Councilman Colzio, and in the next couple of weeks, Councilman Colzio, myself, Chris, Councilman Kalbis, and Councilman Bob Savdowski will be meeting with Sid to go over some of the issues that we have. Over the weekend, myself and Councilman Colzio, we walked the streets on Wood Avenue. We took pictures of things that we like to see kept up. Everything from garbage cans that need to be maintained to sidewalks that need to be cleaned. We also talked to various business owners on how we can help them survive on Wood Avenue. And Councilman Colzio will go a little bit more into that. St. George Avenue, I'm not sure if anybody mentioned it here, but I know our engineer, he is working on that. He sent a letter last month, was it? To the Department of Transportation requesting that we get work done on St. George Avenue, our streets there. And we'll keep you updated on that. And one request I have is, I know the police chief, he's been working hard in his department. I'm asking if he could just give a brief overview of some of the things he's looking to do as far as safety-wise.
Some of the things that we're working on, we just instituted a 2011-2013 strategic plan. If you go on the City of Linden website, under the chief's office, and you scroll all the way down, you'll see the plan is there. It basically spells out that we're looking for the police department to get back into the community. Since September 11th, 2001, the main focus was on terrorism, was on the refinery. Everything went to that. We kind of forgot our main basic stay here was the community and community policing. We're getting the officers back into their beats. We're doing this we started a new program just last week, Intelligent-Led Policing, where every day the shift commanders get a list of every occurrence that happened in every ward. It's broken down by ward. It says whether there are accidents or whatever was happening there. Last Wednesday, we had a meeting with the shift sergeants and lieutenants where we spelled out that the shift sergeants are going to take a more active role in distributing the manpower throughout the districts. If they see that based on the crime mapping that they'll be getting every week, that there's more crimes occurring in a certain area, they could remove guys from a certain area and put the manpower where the need is. If they need to put guys in plain clothes, they have the authority to do that. If they need to use unmarked cars, we'll have unmarked cars available to the patrolmen. This is going on throughout the whole police department. The detective bureau is working tighter with the patrol division. Through the efforts of council and the mayor, we were able to put another patrol captain in patrol where we separated the platoons, the A platoon and B platoon, where now there'll be a senior staff captain on both platoons, and he'll be available 24 hours a day for when that platoon is working. One of the things we're also putting out on our website is this program that we have where the people in town will be able to log in and see what's happening in their ward, what crimes occurred. And we also want to put out a dialogue with the community, so this way you can tell us back what you think is important in your ward. Us as police officers feel we know what's important to us, but now we want to get back to the community and find out what's important to you, so this way we can come together, fix the problems. That's basically a short version of what we've been doing in the last couple of weeks there, Councilman.
And my report.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Cozio, Mr. Armstead asks for a moment before you start your report. Mr. Armstead?
I just failed to mention that a little over a week ago, we had a severe storm that came through Linden, and the primary gist of the storm came through the 4th Ward, and also it hit some areas of the 3rd Ward and a small portion of the 5th Ward. And I just want to commend the guys at DPW for an outstanding job. There was one crew. They came in, and typically DPW does not go onto private property, but realizing that there were some trees and limbs that were hanging that would put people in imminent danger, they did go on private property and remove the hazardous conditions. So I would like to thank them for their efforts, because they went above and beyond the call of duty. And, you know, this is what, you know, when you have a job and you're working for a city, the love of your city should be first. It shouldn't just be about a paycheck. So once again, I want to thank them.
Thank you. Councilman Cozio?
Thank you, Council President. I wholeheartedly agree with the comments of Mr. Armstead. That was quite a rain event, and I'm the first, along with I think everybody up here, to commend the members of the Department of Public Works for the fine job that they do. Unfortunately, I have to start with this one. I have been very frustrated lately with the condition of some Second Ward streets and catch basins. The amount of debris that is consistently present despite weekly street maintenance is just unacceptable to me, and I'm going to meet very soon. I mentioned this with the chairman of the committee, Mr. Sheehy, and I'd like to meet. As Mr. Brown said, we've been going around, and you know, we could take notations down as to where this is, but nothing beats a small camera, a small digital camera, to just record what you see. And I drove around the ward this week 3 times, looking at trees and sidewalks, and in looking at the trees and sidewalks and looking for other maintenance issues, this popped up, and sometimes you really have to look at the cleanliness of the streets, and they're just not there. So I hope to meet with them soon and get some of that resolved. I don't have good news about the West Elizabeth Avenue Flood Control Project. It's unfortunately languishing. Mr. Verchik stated that there was yet another delay with this project at the hands of the New Jersey DEP. The state continues to ask for more testing and documentation while this project continues to languish. I'm going to reach out to our contact in charge of this project at the DEP in an attempt to schedule a meeting to expedite our approvals and move on to the bid process, which should have happened months ago. You just heard Chief Bavona speak about some initiatives. I've had an initiative in the Second Ward recently, again, driving around, as Councilman Sheehy mentioned, line of sight issues. The Second Ward has some unique problems. We have thoroughfares, and I'll call them thoroughfares: Canal Street, Elm Street, Henry Street, Curtis Street, that go from Wood Avenue to DeWitt, and sometimes they're raceways. They go up an incline, and they cross over Ainsworth, Brook, Minor, Spruce, Lafayette, and they're very hard to cross those intersections. And when I talk about a line of sight issue, in fact, it was the evening of the storm. Just as it was clearing, I was on my way home, and I had to stop, and I was on Spruce Street crossing over to my block, and I had to look right, and I looked left. I could not see. I'd have to be out in the middle of the street to see, to cross. And not just me, but everybody. So I took a picture this way, I took a picture that way, and I shared it with the chief of police, and I said, could you cross safely? Because I can't, and I don't think anybody else can. So he put in place an initiative, and within 2 or 3 days, no less than 33 summonses were issued for line-of-sight violations and corner violations, and I commend him for that. I plan to speak with the chief specifically on the intersections and streets where violations occur frequently and target them aggressively in the future. As far as the trees, we're down to 1 tree crew. We have so many trees that need to be trimmed. I put in a list, and a member from Public Works said it's an arm long. Last night it is. I have about 60 trims, removals, most specifically the small new plantings. Now, everybody sees the small trees they put in. Some of them took, some of them didn't. I have about 20 small trees, and the people have, it's a fair request, please take the tree down. You could get a bow saw, and it could be down in seconds. However, our shade tree commissioner, who I respect, asked me, and I recorded every location, every address, where it was, but he says he has to go out and check because they may be under warranty. I wish I could pay for the trees myself to take them down, but he has to check my list. So that is happening. I asked 2 specific homeowners, one on West Blanky and one on the 500 block of Minor, please be patient with us. We'll get them taken down as soon as possible. But I have a lot of takedowns and a lot of grind outs, and I guess I'm on the list with everybody else here. But those who are in need the most will get that service. The Merck soil testing on Bradford near Elizabeth Avenue has been completed. All of the machinery and all of the equipment has been removed. Excavation work continues on the former Hearst Celanese property on West Blanky Street. We talked about this evening. I'm very excited about it. New development will transform this long dormant site into a once again productive site, generating much needed ratables for us. I've asked our housing and sanitary inspector from the health department to inspect commercial properties on West Elizabeth Avenue for cleanliness and excessive debris and encroachment into city right-of-ways with vehicles and equipment. and to generally clean this area up. If you were to take a drive from Wood Avenue down to the Railway line, you'll see what I mean. There's just vehicles, and sometimes right onto the street, right into the right-of-way. So I've asked at least 3 or 4 different properties to be notified to have that cleaned up. For streetlights, I've submitted some streetlights to PSE&G to their website for maintenance. I have some streetlights that are out, and I have some streetlights that are on perpetually for 24 hours a day. So we're going to have those taken care of, hopefully. City-related items. There was a meeting of the committee of the consolidation and restructuring to accommodate all members of council earlier this month. What I did was I had offset meetings so that members of council can get a briefing by Mr. Roth and discuss recent potential retirements and long-term extended leaves by employees which may impact our layoff plan. I'm going to leave it at that because I know there are some things that we have to discuss, but I just wanted everybody, I think, even though it was a committee, I wanted everybody involved and everybody to know what was going on as far as that was concerned. We've heard talk about a business administrator the past couple of months. I just want to reiterate that I agree with moving forward for the search for a business administrator and laying down specifications for that position established to oversee and optimize the day-to-day operations of our municipal government. And I can't wait for the committee to get started on that. Councilman Brown and I, as he mentioned, spent a good part of this past Saturday walking the Special Improvement District of Wood Avenue. We had a great time. In fact, Peter brought his son along, and I have to say, his son, we were out, 3 or 4 hours? Did not make a peep. What a well-behaved young man he is, and I'll tell you, he was such a good boy. We talked to a lot of merchants and business owners, and we had a great time. We went in, introduced ourselves, put a little flyer together, and said, we want to know what your perception is about doing business in Linden. We spoke to people who are doing business for 17, 18 years, and we spoke to people who have just opened shop a few months ago. And we got an earful. We really did. From parking to cleanliness to come out here, look at the facade, it's coming to drips from air conditioners. And as we're walking, we're looking at the pavement, we're looking at the trash receptacles. And as I mentioned earlier, it just needs some sprucing up. It just needs a bit of care. And again, we're going to be addressing that. But it was a good proactive move. We learned a lot. Some people are doing well, and some people aren't doing very well. Call it the economy, call it lack of parking. But we did get an earful. We took a lot of notes, and we plan on walking a couple of extra blocks. We looked at streetscape, roadway, utility poles, street signs, sanitary receptacles, store awnings, and facades, and a lot of them are in poor condition. So we're gonna make that a priority. We'll also have to clarify which department is responsible, whether it be Public Properties, Public Works, or the SID, but we'll get into that. The next meeting of the Historical Society, or I should say the Society for Historic Preservation, will take place at the Linden Public Library on Monday, August 22nd at 7 p.m. Please visit and follow the Linden Society for Historic Preservation Facebook page, where we post unique and interesting historical images of Linden's past. Yes, we're going to have a Halloween parade. 61st Annual Halloween Parade will take place on Sunday, October 30th in the afternoon. Please check TV, Linden TV. I just keep doing that. Linden TV for more details. And we are going to meet, and we're going to try to meet every 2 months up until the event. So please check for this. We're going to get that information up. And we're even talking about doing, Mr. Luciano from the Recreation Department, Public Properties Department, even spoke about having maybe a live program where we could speak more openly and freely about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. But it's going to be, because of the economy and because of the fact that we just don't have the funds to do it, it is going to be a parade, not to spend money, but for involvement. We're going to let those kids march, and anybody who wants to be involved can be involved. Anybody who wants to bring a group in can do that, but we are not about spending money. We're going to get some donations and some grants, and we're going to use that very wisely on maybe some transportation, but we are not going to put money out just to make a big parade. It could be a shadow of what it was, but the parade will be back. I'd just like to mention, and congratulations to our uniform protectors. I'm not going to ask you to get up again. Relax. Thank you. I'm sure you'll do a great job for us. And I'd like to lastly say, and it hasn't been mentioned, but a lot of us were there. My wife and I attended Linden's National Night Out on Tuesday evening, August 2nd at Bower Promenade. Again, great job to the Linden Police Department as always. Cooperation of the PBA Local 42 who sponsored the event. And I'd like to thank all of those who volunteered and attended to learn more about our community policing and keeping our neighborhoods safe. End of report.
Thank you, Councilman. Before we go into the mayor's report, I'd like to announce that I've established an ad hoc committee for the business administrator, and Councilman Rich Pichelle, Councilwoman Michelle Yamakaitis, and Councilman Bob Sadowski will be sitting on it as council people, and as citizens, John Miliano, Paul Walkmeister, Gail Massey, Jen Langley, and Joseph Fleming will also be on the committee. And I'll be meeting with them shortly to get that going. Mr. Mayor, you have a report for us?
Yes, I do, Council President. Thank you. First, I'd like to congratulate the 2 new firemen. You have 6 other fire officers waiting for you to join their ranks so that you could be trained. I'd like to wish you a successful career in the Linden Fire Department. I'd also like to congratulate the 2 new parking enforcement officers, Joe Lindsay and Patrick Cassidy. You are not guaranteed the job. You're only provisional, and you're going to have to test for it, and I wish you good luck. And of course, the 3 new police officers that we just hired as the head of the police department, I want you to know that you're coming in to the city of Linden and a totally professional police department that I feel and know is #1 in Union County under Chief Pavona. I wish you the best in your new career. All I ask is that you treat the people fairly with no favor or malice, and remember that you're here to serve the residents of Linden. And with that said, we are taking a new tact in the Linden Police Department. I've been meeting regularly with Chief Pavona in regards to servicing the people of Linden. We are going more towards community-oriented police department, where each police officer not only is going to be concerned about crime in our municipality, but they're also going to be concerned about the quality of life. And they're going to be reporting instances where there's broken windows in vacant buildings, where there's lots that have the grass cut, where there's different factors that not only pertain to police work, but then we'll be able to report to the various departments in the city to take care of those problems so that the community has a better quality of life in each neighborhood. And that's what community-oriented policing is about, and I know Chief Pavona is dedicated towards that concept. And with that said, we are going to be meeting shortly now with the new promotions, the captains in the Linden Police Department. They are going to be held accountable for the operation of the various departments, and I guarantee you that you're going to have a police department that now is going to be not only protecting and serving, but also serving the needs of the residents throughout the city. And Chief, I know that I could count on you to make sure that our goals come to fruition. Also, I'd like to report, as the councilman in the second ward said, the Halloween parade is going to happen October 30th at 2 p.m. on a Sunday. We've been meeting regularly. The 8th Ward Councilwoman, Michelle Yamakaitis, and 2nd Ward Councilman Rich Cozio and myself, along with a group of about 15 Halloween parade committee people who are all volunteers. This is going to be a grassroots effort. We're not going to have the professional bands we used to have, but we're going to have the community completely involved in it, and it's going to be an enjoyable event, I could guarantee you that. I'd also like to mention that this Saturday around 3 p.m., the 9/11 Foundation is going to be coming into Linden. The 9/11 Foundation, it was established for the 2001 tragedy that occurred on September 11th. What this is a motorcycle ride. It starts at the Pentagon, it goes to Shanksboro, Pennsylvania, and then goes to Ground Zero. In between, they stop at Aviation Plaza, where the city of Linden hosts a pit stop, so to speak, for the 2,500 bikers that will wind up at Ground Zero. Applebee's provides food. We have porta-johns for the bikers. We have water. We have soda. We have a little entertainment. And again, it's just a rest stop for about an hour so they could get on their way to Ground Zero. It's something that Linden has done year after year, and we are very proud to host this event and give these individuals who want to continue to raise, keep the awareness of that tragedy in all our minds. And I welcome anybody in from Linden who wants to go to Aviation Plaza around 3 o'clock to join in the festivities. I'd like to mention that you're seeing St. George's Avenue, which is Route 27, paved in various locations. Now, I want to clarify one issue. That paving that is not done by the state. Although Route 27 is a state highway, the paving is being done by Elizabethtown Gas, because over the past 6 months, they have been replacing various gas lines from the Railway to the Linden line. So that's why you will see only half sections of it paved. They are only paving the areas that they disturbed. The state does have money to finish the rest of the job, but unfortunately, I can't get an answer on when that is going to occur. In regards to the 4th Ward Councilman's report in his ward that suffered about a dozen trees that were knocked down in a freakish windstorm, myself and Councilman Armstead were out there right after the wind blew through that 4th Ward, and what was unique was it was only in that swath of neighborhood. It didn't really affect any other wards, but it did heavy damage in the 4th Ward. Our Public Works crews responded. They did a tremendous job, and I'm very proud of how they conducted themselves under very trying conditions. And just to clarify for the public, the City of Linden does not cut down trees on private property. But if there is a hazard by that tree falling on private property and leaning on a house or something to that effect, we will remove the immediate hazard. We will not remove the whole tree on private property, but we will remove the immediate hazard to the house or wherever the hazard occurs. So I just wanted to clear that up. Also, I would like to inform the public that uses Wood Avenue, especially under the overpass. We have a pedestrian crossing there. It has lights on signs. It has a sign in the middle of the street. By law, when a pedestrian steps off of that curb, you're supposed to yield as a driver to that pedestrian. It's not happening. I witnessed car after car just ignore that pedestrian, especially during commuter times. We've had signs up there to inform the public. The only other alternative, and I'm going to order the chief to do so, is we are going to educate the public that they have to stop for pedestrians and crosswalks by issuing summonses. It seems that's the only way we're going to get their attention. So let the public beware. If you're driving on Wood Avenue, you better stop for the pedestrians at the crosswalk. I've also like to announce that come September 3rd, we're going to have the September to Remember. This is going to be the 3rd annual September to Remember. It's a street festival on Wood Avenue on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and the rain date is Sunday. This is run by the Cultural Committee. It's strictly volunteers who run this. We have a car show. We have vendors. Again, it's a fun time for the family. We have hot dog eating contests. We have pie eating contests. And we just have a good time on September 3rd. And I suggest that anybody that wants to join the Cultural Committee in assisting the volunteers, please contact my office. I also want to remind everybody that our promenade, where we have free concerts in the various evenings, we are 3/4 of the way through our concert program. Again, these concerts do not cost the City of Linden any money. They're all donations from corporations and businesses in the City of Linden and also private citizens. So come out. We got a list, and you could get the list from the Recreation Department or my office as to when the remainder of the program will have live entertainment. And lastly, I'd like to mention to everybody that I had a request from a a woman in the city of Linden who I've known for a long time. Her son-in-law is in Afghanistan in Camp Leatherneck. And what they have is Operation Toy Soldier. They go out on patrols and they give toys to the kids in Afghanistan, hopefully to win the hearts and minds of the public, in Afghanistan. And what they're asking me to do, and I'm doing it in my office, I have a collection box. If you have any toys that you want to contribute, and they could be slightly used, we are going to accept them in my office. Once we get a large enough amount, I've made arrangements with McGuire Air Force Base to fly the boxes to Camp Leatherneck in Afghanistan, and so that this program could continue, and our soldiers could give these toys to the kids so that they could enjoy them, and also they realize that we're not there as an occupying force, but as a friend of the Afghan people. That's the end of my report. Council President, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With the Labor Day holiday coming up, with the concern with DWIs, you have a plan in effect as far as grant money that we receive to enforce the problem?
I've been with the chief of police. They have previous plans. We have no problem with the cemetery member, and we'll have enough security to guarantee that.
Thank you. We're going to move into resolutions. Public comments will be permitted for those specific resolutions to be removed from the consent approval. Please read the synopsis of the resolutions, which have been prepared by the city clerk's office. Each is informative and self-explanatory. However, if you wish to address a specific resolution, the council will entertain questions on it. Does anyone wish to remove any resolutions from 238 to 266? Here on my right.
Yes.
251, 252, and 253? Right. 255, 265, and 261.
Thank you. Anybody else from this? Yes. In the center. Ms. Smelik. In the center, Mr. Sharpie. Mr. Bishop. On my left. Yes, sir. Anyone else? May I have a motion on the remainder, please?
Mr. President, I'm going to make a motion on the resolutions with the exception of 250, 251, 252, 253, 254, 255, 256, 260. I'm going to talk about 260 then. 261, 264, and 265, and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Zadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yamakitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Purcell.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Please come up, Ms. Hero, on Resolution 250.
Actually, Council President, if it's okay with you, I'll just batch 250 through 253 and 261 since it deals with the same issue, which is why are we hiring all these municipal prosecutors? Why isn't our current municipal prosecutor doing this?
Ms. Hero, this deals with the additional court dates that the council authorized at the last meeting and authorized additional prosecutors and public defenders for those court dates. The judge has expanded the court and added additional dates which were not previously scheduled, and as a result, we've needed to add on prosecutors to cover those sessions. This is within a limited budget that the court council approved last month of $25,000 in total for the court sessions for the judges and the public defenders and prosecutors.
Okay, is it because they have been expanded dates that he is not allowed, that he cannot take on these dates? Is Mr. Scutari has previous conflicts with this?
He has previous, in other words, the judge has added on dates that conflict with other matters that have been scheduled. Mr. Scutari handles not just the prosecutor, but other duties in the city as well as his other jobs. So this is far and above and beyond his normal prosecutory jobs and other jobs.
Okay, and I guess my other question is, since we seem to keep wanting Dan Roberts to be the judge or an assistant judge, why isn't he one of the temporary prosecutors?
He's not on the RFQ list for prosecutors. He didn't apply to be on the RFQ list. All of these gentlemen applied either through the RFQ process, and if they were not on the RFQ process, they are a prosecutor in another town. You're only allowed with the prosecutors to take someone off the list. Council sends out for qualifications at the beginning of the year, and we take qualifications, and then we approve people. And if we run out of approved people, then we look to other towns, Elizabeth, Roselle, et cetera, and see if their prosecutors are available to cover. So everybody on this list is either off the RFQ list that was approved by council or a prosecutor in another town already.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sharpie?
Yes. I reside at 315 Second Avenue, Linden, New Jersey. I brought this up 3 months ago about this situation with this prosecutor in this town. Now, we had to put out $5,700. I think this town needs an assistant prosecutor in this city. The court has gotten bigger. It requires an assistant prosecutor. Not going out of the city, out of this. It requires an assistant prosecutor. The court has gotten bigger. It's under Judicial Department of Law. Not being by a political official who is a lawyer in both towns, Roselle and here. The city needs to get an assistant prosecutor. I rest my case.
Anyone else on prosecutors? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we move resolutions 250, 251, 252, 253, and 261 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yamakitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 255, Pat Hero, please.
Okay, I have a number of questions on this. First of all, what are the computer consulting services with regard to?
Good question. Good question. We agree. Anyone?
Treasurer's office, please.
Anyone?
This is basically just an extension of a contract that we have in place for PASCAC data. We did approve a contract with them at the beginning of the year, but we have a need now to purchase new servers for non-public departments in the city, and that's what this contract calls for, new servers to be put in place.
Okay, because it's a little bit confusing here, because it says an additional contract extension. When was the contract supposed to expire?
I think the original contract went through from January to August.
Okay.
And now we're extending it till year end. And the capital funds have been approved for this year. So the funds are available right now. They were
Okay.
approved for the capital ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Council President?
Yes, sir.
If I may address
Councilman.
Ms. Hero, thank you for bringing this up. I'm not sure what these funds are for either. For at least 3 or 4 months, certain members of council have been asking for the formation of a technology committee to do a proper needs assessment of our IT infrastructure and what our needs are to bring us to where we need to be. I think anybody who's, I've seen you online at the library, a lot of people, you look at our website, it's gotten better, but it's nowhere near where it needs to be. Mr. Tully brought up about downloading documents. There's so much that could be done. Job applications, different things that people don't have to come to City Hall anymore. We're not staying ahead of the curve, and we need to be. I'm not going to support this because I don't know exactly what it's for, and even though the funds are there, doesn't mean we have to spend it. It has to be specified. And I'm going to stop doing this as far as technology is concerned because we need to make a giant leap forward. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Council President?
Mr. Brown.
Thank you. I agree with Councilman Cozio. I mean, I thank you for bringing this up because, again, we got this on Monday, but for the last 3 or 4 months, we've been requesting a technology department or committee to do a needs assessment, and we're giving out money, but not knowing where the problems are. I think on the budget committee, we requested just a simple quote from, it may have been this company or another company, as far as upgrading, let's just say, some of our technology infrastructure. Give you a perfect example. We have servers that are 7 years old in the city. We have computers that are running on XP. We have also, I think, Outlook 2003. So we said, all right, listen, how much would it cost us to bring us up to date in the 21st century? Around about $300,000 is the quote that we got. A lot of times when you look at these resolutions that are being presented, one is a contract that's being awarded, or we do bits and pieces as far as computers, but no overall plan, if you want to say master plan, has been presented to address our overall technology issues. It's just bits and pieces patchwork. I'm voting no on this until I have see a plan put forward. What are we going to address the issues rather than just giving out money?
Thank you. Mrs. Malik.
Pat asked a lot of the questions I wanted to ask, but what I'd like to know is, what is the total for this contract? So 25,000 is a large number, small number, whatever.
Mr. Clerk.
Just 1 second, we're pulling the resolution out.
And then the second thing, what I'd like to bring up is, very good points that the two councilmen just said. Also, IT, we have it in the city, we have it also in our board, the Board of Education. Why can't we have shared services with IT between these two?
Those are part of some of the ideas that we brought forth. I'm sorry, Council President, may I?
Mr. Kozier.
8 years ago, the Board of Education was in dire need of a new IT infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
They were proactive. They brought people in. They're now on the cutting edge. There are hundreds of iPads in the school district right now being used. And it's just, you just need that mindset to come in and grasp the technology and say, we're going to move forward. Simply take a look at what other towns are doing and say, why can't we achieve that? We can. We simply can. We need people to get on board. We need to put a plan in place. It's like any infrastructure plan. Streets, sewers, sidewalks. Let's take care of the infrastructure. And if we work smarter, it's going to save us a lot of money in the long run.
Has some dialogue already started between the city and the Board of Ed on doing this?
We need a committee to do that, and we've been asking for that for 4 months. So one has to be formed. We have to understand what we have to do. Then we're going to sit down and we're going to talk intelligently about it and see how we could share.
Is there any pull from the Board of Ed, or have they ever tried to approach you on this?
We've tried, in fact, I personally approached just on a sidebar dialogue, and they're very, very agreeable to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, there's things we could do. I mean, we look at other cities. We have a great resource right here in town
Right.
that we can pull from.
Right. Do we have the total?
No, I don't. It's not in the resolution.
I mean, roughly,
we can get that.
100,000 or even?
No, I believe the original amount was also for 25, but I'm not 100% positive on that. We can look it up after the meeting and give you the exact amount.
So it was original?
Just a little clarification. PASTAC is our service provider. They come in when we need repair service done to our computer system. without this contract, the outside vendor that does a lot of our repairs and has our licensing agreements would stop functioning.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Mr. Sharby.
I'm in total agreement with shared services with the Board of Education on the computer system and everything else like that, because isn't on it, it says City of Linden Board of Education? I think shared services, I see on one of these resolutions with nursing services, why can't we have computer services too, shared services? It's the same tax money that pays for all this, so I'm in agreement with shared services.
Thank you. Going to move on to motion, please.
Is that it? Mr. President, I ask that we move resolution number 255 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Cosio? No. Mr. Brown? Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Gonna abstain.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
No.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell?
No.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
The resolution is tied 4-4. The mayor has the right to break a tie.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, we have
Abstention.
an abstention.
No, it doesn't. It's an ordinance.
Hold on, we're waiting for a legal. It would count as a yes.
Okay, so. Tell him.
What? The abstention counts as a yes.
No, even without the abstention, it passed with sufficient votes. There's 4 noes and 5 yes.
Okay, you're correct. I'm sorry. The motion passes.
I'd like to move on to 256, please. Mr. Roman.
John Roman, Summit Street. On this one, various properties. Shouldn't that read all properties in Linden that are overgrown and need to be cut by the city DPW?
President.
Councilwoman.
Mr. Roman, there's a specific list of
I
properties that were
understand
worked
that.
on already, so that's the
Okay,
ones that
then
we're
I'll
charging.
rephrase, industrial, commercial.
If it was done by the city, it's on the list. Provided that it's not owned
Somebody
by...
reported it? Is that what you're...
No,
If
if-
somebody reported an industrial or a commercial property
And
as
if-
overgrown.
If they failed to do the work and the city did the work, it would be on the list.
Okay.
So the various would be because the list is quite long.
Okay, thank you.
Motion, please. I'm sorry.
Was that it?
256 motion.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt Resolution 256 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Councilwoman Cosby Hurley on 260, please.
Resolution 260 was here, and we unfortunately weren't able to discuss it at last night's caucus meeting. It was on last month, which we discussed it, and it was removed. The concern was that we can't require anything above and beyond what is currently in place, discussion went on for policemen who live in town who could be subjected to harassment. I'm all in favor of requiring they live in Union County, though. But to force them to live in Linden forever and ever and ever and be subjected to harassment if, let's say, they locked up Mrs. Totoli's cousin, or they had a run-in and she saw him and shot right and slashed his tire, God forbid. But I'm just saying, it's happened in the past, so I'm not going to support this one. I would support a resolution requiring the public safety officers to stay in our county, as a mandate, and those are my comments.
Motion, please.
Council
President? Yeah.
Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I thought that we amended this the last council meeting, that it would say Union County, not City of Linden. I thought we took a straw vote on this in the back, that this was going to say Union County, not City of Linden.
We amended it to give the option of the legislature to treat the police and fire as the other residency require. Mr. Clerk, were you?
I have it as to allow the state legislature to give the option to the town as to whether or not they're going to require it.
Those were from your notes?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion, please.
Mr. President, I ask that we vote on Resolution 260 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Koziel.
As written, no.
Brown.
Abstain.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
No.
Sadowski.
No.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
No.
Frazier.
Yes.
Purcell.
No, unless it's changed to Union County.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. I'd like to move on to 254. Mr. Sharpie.
Yes, on this, it's an additional funds to provide additional funds for $5,000. We had the money in the budget. Is that like taking $5,000 off this month's budget? When it's providing $5,000?
Mr. Hudak.
These are ongoing matters with the outside attorneys. We keep a tight leash on the attorneys. We don't give them a large budget to work with, so that when their billing reaches 80% of what's been appropriated or been allowed under the current contract, they have to come to the mayor and council and ask for additional funds. And in this case, that's why we appropriate and add money in small amounts. That money is already in the law department's budget.
Okay, as long as it's there, no problem.
Motion, please.
Mr. President, I'll seek that we move on Resolution 254 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Purcell.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Resolution 261, Pat Hero.
265, I believe, Ms. Hero and Ms. Wolferdine.
265.
Yes,
Okay,
I've
Sam.
been up here, as you well know, numerous times because, of course, government doesn't belong in the redevelopment business, and of course, now we're coming before the council again, seeking additional funds, $20,000, which seems to be a lot of billable hours for legal services relative to this matter. So what is the continuing need here with regard to that? What issue are they doing now?
I could answer that, Council President, if you let me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
This is our counsel for the city of Linden in regards to the eminent domain issues regarding DuPont property and ISP property, the eminent domain issue with Southwood Avenue, Verge Industries, and the eminent domain issue with St. George Avenue, Morningstar LLC. All three of these properties were declared eminent domain under the previous administration, and we are trying to resolve them so that we could get development and move forward, but we cannot do it without having legal counsel that looks out for Linden's best interests. And right now, we're close to resolving 2 out of the 3 issues, but unfortunately, we have these issues and we got to address them again from the previous administration.
Yes, as you well know, Linden's best interest is not declaring eminent domain on people's properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion, please.
Mr. President, are we doing 64 and 65?
This is 265.
Okay. So I'm going to ask that we pass Resolution 265 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
No.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell? Yes. Mr. Moore?
Yes. 264, Mrs. Wolverdink.
Diane Wolferding, 150 East Morris Avenue. Approving an agreement in the matter of Talbot versus City of Linden. I just wanted to know what that was about, and is it costing the city a lot of money?
Mr. Hudak.
I'll answer. I could answer that again, Council President, if you want.
Mr. Mayor.
This is an issue at the JTG Center. An individual that was hearing impaired uses the workout room. We have a TV in the workout room. We didn't have a remote for that TV, and he wanted to have closed caption on the TV. He filed a complaint with, I forget, whatever agency handles that, and all we did was go out and buy a remote to satisfy his need.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Motion, please.
Mr. President, I seek that we can move Resolution 264 and seek a second.
Second.
Mr. Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Okay. The council, in order to take into consideration public input for proposed ordinance, will allow 3 minutes for each individual to speak on the ordinance on first reading. Council will not answer any questions, and everybody's reminded that public hearings on each of the ordinance will be held next month's council meeting. Anybody wish to address the ordinance? Okay. 5541.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic shall be amended as follows. Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-33 Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A Handicap Parking on Street. Add 45 West 18th Street, 1 space, and 502 Washington Avenue, 1 space.
Motion, please.
I would like to open the hearing on ordinance 5541 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5542.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $200,000 for the improvements of West Brook and Peach Orchard Brook for the city of Linden, and authorizing the issuance of $190,000 in bonds or notes to finance part of the appropriations.
Motion.
I'll take that in Mr. Culebus' stead, Council President. I'll move item number 5542 on introduction. I'll ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5543.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $200,000 for the rehabilitation of sanitary sewers for the city of Linden, and authorizing the issuance of $190,000 in bonds or notes for financing part of the appropriations.
Motion, please.
Mr. President, I move item number 55-43 on introduction and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Cosio?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5544.
Bond ordinance authorizing the acquisition of firefighting and radio equipment for the city of Linden, and appropriating $93,500 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $88,825 in bonds or notes for financing part of the appropriations.
Please come up.
Jackie Williams.
I just wanted to ask
State name and
I'm
address,
sorry,
please.
Jacqueline Williams, Husser Street. I just wanted to ask, the bonds that we're requesting for this equipment seems to be a low enough dollar amount for the city to just be able to pay for without asking for a bond. So I wanted to basically put the question out there for city council to do a little bit of research, because with all the additional hiring and promotions we're doing and the salaries that we're paying out for that, I would assume that we also have the money to cover this without asking the taxpayers for a bond to pay interest on this money. So if you can please just take that into consideration.
Thank you. Motion, please.
Mr. President, I move for introduction of ordinance 55-44 and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Going to move on to comments from members of the public in attendance on city business only. No personal, political, or derogatory comments, not to exceed 5 minutes. I have the sign-in list. Has everybody had the opportunity to sign in? Okay. Rebecca Totoli, 226.
Just real quick on your resolution 260. Do you realize how silly that is in today's world of transients? I know a couple right now that are both civil service for departments that if both of their departments required residency, they wouldn't be able to get married. It's really silly, and they don't live in the same county either. So I just I mean, with the fact that we're so mobile now, I don't, and this is also legislative, I believe, so I don't think you can pass anything like this without going through the state legislature.
The resolution calls for the state legislature to change the law.
And I don't think one community is going to make a difference. Anyway, last night at the caucus meeting, I brought up to hopefully enlighten the council in regards to the PureGen, since we haven't heard very much about PureGen in many, many months. The Board of Public Utilities here in New Jersey has been holding hearings throughout the state. In fact, they concluded their third meeting over the summer months just the other day in Pomona. This was to enlighten the residents on the New Jersey's energy master plan that the governor and the energy sector has put forth. The president of the BPU, Lee Solomon, interrupted an environmentalist back on the July 26th meeting in Newark because she raised the coal PureGen project. He said to her, and I quote, "Stop, stop, you don't have to say anything more about PureGen. There will be no PureGen, the governor has said so." To which she replied, "Well, that's great news. I have not heard the governor say so publicly since he was elected." Solomon reiterated with, "Well, I'm saying it publicly, there will be no PureGen, there is no loophole, there will be no coal plant with or without CCS." The NRDC, which is the Natural Resources Defense Council, headquartered in New York but has regional offices throughout the United States, once supported PureGen. They have backtracked. They now oppose PureGen and the CCS pipeline, just to bring you up to speed on that. And last year, I was given an award at the New Jersey Environmental Federation, coming out of the energy sector and working closely with the environmental groups. Bob Martin from the DEP happened to be at that meeting, and along with a government official who was filling in for Governor Christie, because at the time he was attending a funeral. Anyway, Bob Martin, the DEP commissioner at that time, told us that Christie was not going to support it. He also was interviewed back on March 10th of 2010, and in his interview, he said, "We oppose this I oppose it. The governor opposes it for a lot of reasons, including environmental justice type reasons. We have serious concerns about the plant, and we don't know that it's fair that the community take on another such type of plant. It doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't seem right to the governor either. With that all being said, I'd like to know what the status of PureGen is, since we haven't heard anything about PureGen since I think we got a check which was late. It was supposed to be given, November or beginning of December, and we never got it until the end of December or beginning of January, and that was basically an
Mr. Mayor, could you answer that, please?
Well, I think it would be a little premature for me to make any comments. It's obvious from the discussions I've had with the governor's chief of staff, Matt O'Keefe, that it seems that the governor is not too keen on the PureGen concept. But for me to make a comment now would be premature, but I'm sure probably by next month we should know definitively your answer.
Well, as to what the status is, or have we had any communications with PureGen? I mean, I know Mr. Bauer personally is been totally consumed down in the California project right now, for any of you that aren't into the energy field or keep up with it. But, so I know he hasn't been East Coast side for quite a while. And I'm wondering what the status is.
Again, I've told you that it's a little premature for me to make a comment. I've had email conversations with Mr. Bauer, but I'll probably be able to give you a better answer next month.
And at that time, I would hope that because this has been ongoing, and I have to say to Councilman Frazier, I'm very happy to see that, we're doing something at the landfill, because I know a company that came to you, to the council. You were a member of that meeting back in '07, I believe it was, beginning of '08, in regards to putting solar and a methane project on the landfill, and I'm really happy to see that that's moving forward. But with that being said, we could have had something possibly already up and running on the DuPont property. This has been ongoing since, I believe the meeting was back in November of '08, I want to say, or maybe it was November of '07 in Newark, please, about PureGen.
We have an eminent domain issue there. We have Councilman Pichelle and his committee had a very good MOU, which the city signed along with all the other parties. So to answer your question, we couldn't have had anything up and running at this point because of the eminent domain issue with the Morris Group, which was going to build a warehouse, and this MOU that was successfully completed by 10th Ward Councilman Pichelle.
Okay, so with that being said, next month we should have, maybe PureGen will come and hold some kind of a hearing or something for the public, so that we can find out what is going on with a valuable piece of property that could bring in ratables?
Again, it may not be necessary to even have a public hearing. It's too premature for me to comment on whether PureGen is a feasible development or not at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Michael Smith.
Good day, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Council President, various council members, and fellow Linden residents. Much rhetoric has been offered in recent council meetings specific to the issues of free speech and the circumstances it could be presented. Arguably, the most influential of the assorted 27 amendments to the Constitution, the First Amendment, specifies that Congress should make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free speech thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. However, the practical reality of the comment prohibiting free speech thereof or abridging the freedom of speech is considered neither unrestricted nor unconditional in its application, Examples abound that may result in legal or civil repercussions, such as slander, defamation of character, perjury, or the bedrock reference of yelling fire in a crowded theater. Simply put, one's unbridled foray into the free speech aspects of the First Amendment would be as if the same party recklessly drove their car at 90 miles an hour on the parkway. Just because one has the ability to speak or drive carelessly does not mean that one should. One will close with a comment from William Shakespeare. Mind your speech a little, lest you should mar your fortunes. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Sharpie.
Hello again, I'm Mr. Sharpie, 315 Second Avenue. There's 4 weeks between city council meetings. Like I myself, I came down to see what the agenda was, and everything's last minute. And you come back in Monday and it still ain't finished yet. You know, I think we need a resolution that everything for the agenda for the next council meeting should be 7 days ahead of time, you know. And as for policing the community awards, I'm very much in agreement with that, Chief. And thank you for getting stop signs down into my thing and the intersections in my ward. And also on Henry Street, I'm in total agreement with one-side parking on Henry Street, especially when it's snow covered. And they do drive up and down there pretty crazy. I see them myself. And even on both sides of the street parking, I even see the city garbage truck having a hard time just coming down picking up the garbage. You know, some of these side streets have parking on both sides, especially in the wintertime when we're trying to clean those streets and get them open. And I suggest that in tight streets like that and snow covered, one side should be no parking especially during the winter. You know, it makes it very difficult for the crew to get around. We have to wait till they go off to work in order to get the street 3/4 away clear, you know. And as for downtown, it is a sight. It really is a sight. Those garbage cans, the recyclables, the rusting, they should be painted. I thought maybe the kids during the summertime would have an extra time. And even the guys sweeping the streets on the sidewalks, if they carry a paint can, do maybe 3 on each block. They could do that. They could do 2 jobs at once. I know I do on my job. Why can't they? You know? I could pick up a mop and sweep a broom. You know? They can do it. Same type of job I do. I do it on my job. Why can't these employees do the same thing I do? Every day, 240 days a year. I don't know. Maybe it's different here. You know, maybe different type of employer. You know, supervisors, you know, you get a city here paying a paint supervisor $92,000 a year. Where's the painting being done downtown here? Why? Dirty streets? You know, dirty receptacles? Why? You know, I don't know. $92,000 going out, that's 2 jobs for two people. And in front of the library, that's 2 months ago, about those 2 dead trees in front of our new public library. I walked in there one day in the library and one of the custodians said, oh, they were down to look at them. Still waiting for them to come back to cut down those 2 dead trees. It'd be nice to have 2 nice Christmas trees up there. Maybe we get it by December. That's all I have to talk about this month.
Thank you. Mrs. Malik, please. Jacqueline Williams, please.
Thank you. Good evening, members of City Council, Mayor, Council President. I have a request. It may or may not be feasible, but the request is to have the street sweeper come after the garbage collection trucks come through town. And I'll tell you one of the reasons is because on Husser Street in particular, when the trucks come, sometimes there's a lot of debris, I guess, left on the streets, and the trucks actually leave a really foul odor, and liquids drop down from the truck, which leaves a really bad odor in town along with the debris. So I think it would be a lot better if we have the street sweepers come after the trash has been collected. My other comment is I would like to thank Councilman Armstead, Council President Moore, and Police Chief for listening to, I guess, my pleas to diversify the police department. I would really just like to lend my gratitude to you guys for hiring the first African-American female. I believe we had a Latino woman that was also hired this evening along with another gentleman. So I thank you, because Linden definitely needed the diversity. And I think we are well on our way to making sure that all people in town are represented properly. The next thing that I would like to comment on is 2 months ago I had asked for a report regarding the number of fires that Linden has had over the last 3 years. I know that Councilwoman Yamakaitis touched upon recent fire calls, but I'm not quite sure how many actual fires Linden has had in the last 3 years and whether or not they have increased or decreased. But being that we're hiring new firemen, I think that this question would be appropriate to ask again.
Council President?
Mrs. Yamakaitis.
Yes, the fire committee has requested Chief Rizzo to have this ready, so are you prepared tonight, Chief Rizzo, with the figures? Do you have it on you, or?
I don't have the actual numbers, but I can tell you that in 2010, the actual fires rose about 40% over 2008 and 2009. That 2010 actual structure fires was, I believe, 46.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Lindsay?
Good evening, Council, Council President, and Mayor. Joe Lindsay, 326 Fernwood Terrace. I didn't comment on personnel and finance tonight. My name was on it. I wanted to hear the feedback from council. I was involved in it. Number 11, my name was on there. And I don't know the proper protocol to get hired in the city. I just want to qualify how I went about. Yes. Okay. Don't speak at all. Okay, not a problem.
Thank you.
All right, I just want to, I respect everybody's view, and I have no hard feelings with anybody, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Council President, can I say something?
Mr. Brown?
Thank you. I just have to say this, Joe, for one understand, I don't want you thinking it was something in particular you. What I know on Councilwoman Roshana and myself especially, we're concerned about the in-house policy. I think you followed everything to the T. In fact, the feedback that I heard, and this was a tough vote for some of us, is that you made it clear. I want to do it the right way. I don't want no favors, don't want to do political. And I think that you should be commended for that, because not a lot of people actually would make that effort to say, listen, I want to make sure I follow everything to the T. I want to make sure I do it right. The vote was more on what the council can do to make sure we do the policy right. So I just want to make that clear. You did it right. We have to fix how we do it.
Pat Hero?
Pat Hero, Wheat Chief Road. First of all, I want to say I came in a little bit late, and I want to apologize for that because I didn't realize what was going down tonight. Number 5540. Now, for the record, as everybody knows, I signed a petition. I have to go a little politics here, sorry, but I did sign a petition for John Miliano, and I followed through on what I wanted for that petition. So I exercised my right that I said I would do in the petition, and Mr. Miliano didn't win. You know, that happens sometimes. I ran against Chris Colibus. I didn't win. You know what? But you support the person who got the position, even if they weren't your original choice. Well, at least that's what I do. It seems some of you aren't doing that. It seems some of you are working overtime to try to, well, I could use a word here, but Mr. Bunk wouldn't let me, and I'm sure Mr. Moore wouldn't let me too. But that's basically what you're doing to Mr. Moore. You're trying to deprive him of all his powers as a council president, and that is just so unfair. Just chip away at him, chip away at him, and chip away at him. I don't know why you're doing that. It seems to me Council President Moore is doing a good job for the people of the city of Linden, but maybe that's the problem. Maybe some of you are so busy with your political games that you don't like Mr. Moore. You know, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Maybe he's our Rudolph. You just don't like him because he won't play your political games. He cares about the people, just like Bob Frazier and Jack Sheehy, Derek Armstead. Okay? Maybe Chris Colibus isn't here because he cares about the people too. I hope Chris is disgusted by what's happening because I sure am. Now, as far as hiring practices go, I think department heads should be allowed to choose their own people whom they want to hire. I think it should be done, as Ms. Cosby-Hurling said, a position should be posted, and then the department heads can interview the people, and of course they have to justify that there's a need for that position, but then provided that they have done that, I think they should hire who they want, provided it's the most qualified person, provided it's no relatives. I don't really like to see positions, maybe, it seems to me, from what I've seen out here with regard to the police, I'd like to know what's happening with some positions. That's all I want to say. You know, I hope department heads get a chance to hire whom they want to hire because they're the ones who are going to be working with them. And I don't think it should be political hiring. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Leonard Roman.
Leonard. John Roman.
Leonard. Thank you, sir.
Leonard Roman of Essex Avenue, New Jersey. The recycling guy's been coming around, and when they push the recycling, they have glass come all over the street. This has been going on for a while. I called up the sanitation department. It did improve over the years. Well, today I wasn't home. My wife, when I came home, she was very upset. I said, what's the matter? She said the recycling came and she got a dustpan and she filled the dustpan up with glass. And she asked them, she says, aren't you going to pick it up? They says, no, it's not our job. Well, we have flat tires in our house with glass in it. And I'm sure more people in Linden have flat tires with glass in it. And a lot of it's coming from the recycling. So my wife went down and she dumped it in the recycling truck when they went around a corner. And they laughed at her and said, why don't you tell the mayor? And I wish I was home. I wasn't. But I will be there next Tuesday and the Tuesday after that.
Sir, may I speak, Council President?
Sure, Mr. Mayor.
I would like you to call my office tomorrow. Give me the time, the date, a description of the individuals, and maybe even a truck number if you got it. Well, call my office, okay? I'll give you my card afterwards.
Letitia Desir.
Hi, Latasha Desir, 1407 Union Street. I just wanted to be clear exactly where will the jobs be posted at, especially for number 11. It says the City of Linden require open competitive announcements be made. Where will the announcements be made at?
They're actually posted on, there's a board here in City Hall, and we're going to make sure they're posted on our TV 36. Well, now it's Linden TV.
Is it on the board now?
Well,
Not yet.
I don't think so, no. I think they'll be posted as of tomorrow, I believe. Chief, when are you going to post those positions? Tomorrow, right?
Council President. Council President.
And so at
Madam
this time,
Someone just to clarify.
Councilwoman.
These two positions actually were posted internally, and they were open for 2 weeks. Lieutenant Aslan interviewed 4 candidates who were not selected. The positions then, according to our existing process, were supposed to go public and then get posted on the civil service website for that open competitive test, which there's a website, which Mr. Roth was talking about, the scoring and all like that.
yes.
It has not been posted any place. And, you know, while we're on the topic, I want to just, you know, encourage the committee, personnel, and finance to please post them in every city building, any public building, the library, all the recreation centers around town, in case someone does not have Linden TV, or if they don't make it to City Hall. It's not going to cost us a whole lot to do a paper advertisement for something that does not require open competitive testing, like the per diem dispatcher positions that I'm told are going to be published today on Linden's website. So that these were already advertised internally, but they never went public.
So as it stands now, a resolution has already been passed that positions will now be posted on our, at least for now, on our website and on the bulletin board?
There's no resolution. The committee is working with to get a process in place, a more set process, because there was a verbal agreement 2 years ago that said that the city would publish all open positions on the website. There was never a resolution done, ever. I've been asking for this for 6 years. Open, honest employment for the city of Linden. And we're almost there.
We've all been asking for that. Believe me when I tell you, you know, Jim and I ran on that premise, and we
So for the public and the other residents of Linden at this time, for jobs, it's not mandated that the jobs have to be posted for the public. Just want to be clear. Thank you.
No.
So let's do a resolution.
John Roman.
Let's do a resolution.
Mrs. Desir, if you have the time, would you give me a call sometime this week? A lot of things we can talk about, you know, with regards to what has been going on, and it doesn't matter. She lives in the city of Linden.
Okay. Mr. Roman.
Hello, John Roman, Summit Street. Over the last couple of months, I've been here voicing my opinion, and I'm getting some feedback, and it's amazing. I've been asked, what am I running for? Nothing. What am I running from? Taxes. Like a crook responsible for his or her crime. Like a politician who's supposed to keep the promises they make. Like myself, what I see is what I say. What I say is what I mean. Should I say it sometimes? Oops. The person I can be, ask my neighbor. The person I am, ask any senior citizen that knows me. I never claimed to be a truck mechanic. With little effort, I found examples of inexpensive trucks right here in the city, condition unknown. It didn't matter because I'm sure these companies weren't certified to do business with the city. And I asked questions about other trucks bought by the DPW. Some say I have a creative mind. Others say I have a creative imagination. Be that as it may. In my public comments, I've tried to come to the point quickly because if it's one thing Mr. Moore is good at, and that's cutting people off. I've known a couple of council members for a lot of years, and I think that they know the kind of person I am. My current council member, Mr. Caballas, who isn't here, in my short dealings with him, I think he's got a good picture of who I am as well. Mr. Sheehy, I like to think we were friends and continue to be friends. It just so happens that you took up the duties of the biggest department in the city of Linden, you know, and it's not my goal to make your responsibilities or your stress, you know, harder. Politicians have enough, you know. But to try and let the people of the city of Linden know, just because you see something doesn't mean it's true. Just because you hear something doesn't mean it's true. Remember that when you vote. What I learned about politicians and departments of the city are from people who helped put Mayor Wrigley in office, and they are long gone. No one who works for any city department gives or tells me about any city policies or what's going on in city departments, or tells me what to say. I've been called a lot of things in my life, but puppet wasn't one of them. My public comments are just that, mine and mine alone. No one, simply because they know me, should be questioned or harassed, to find out where it's coming from. An old friend reminded me of an old saying, in order to get along, you go along. That, my friends, is still true today. However, like FDR's New Deal, it isn't working anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. The following council meetings will be as follows. Council conference meeting Monday, September 19, 2011 at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting prior to the council meeting Tuesday, September 20, 2011 at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council meeting September 20th, 2011 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. I ask for a motion.
Motion.
Mr. Cosio? Yes. Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy? Yes. Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Rochelle? Yes. Mr. Moore?
Yes.